Hello, everyone. Peace and blessings to y'all. Peace and blessings. Hello, everyone. I had to take care of a couple of things, but anyways, um, so I'm here right now. So just thought I'd, you know, basically do a an update, just hang out, just talk, whatever's whatever. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, yeah. So I'll just give you guys and ladies some time to come on in and uh, then I can get started with whatever is on my mind or whatever I need to talk to y'all about and things like that. So, alrighty, just give me a minute here, just to set up some things. Okay, sorry. Okay, there we go. Right. Anyways, so far there's it looks like three of y'all in the room. Let me know who's in the room. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know how y'all doing. Happy Sunday. Peace and blessings to you. So let's talk. Let's have a catch up. Let's see what's going on and things like that. All right. Um, righty ho. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Peace and blessings to you. How you doing? How you doing? What's going on? Talk to me. Talk to me. What's going on? So, yep, it's a Sunday. As the title says, still here in London, still taking life one day at a time, still doing what I need to do, and you know, and that's pretty much it for now. For now. Um, so just to share a couple of things, I have been working on like two projects. Um, One is going to be a music project. For those of you who don't know, I'm also a musician. So I'm working on this project, which, I'm going to have its own YouTube channel and all that other stuff. So I've already spoken to one person to try to help me to get it going. So once I get certain things in place, then I'll make the announcement. Um, Not quite. No, not quite. But you know, but I will let you know when I get there. I'm still chipping away. Um, the only thing that's really holding me back is just the money part, but that's going to take some time. Given the uh, the amount of money, the expenses, blah 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 blah. You know, um, so given all these things, that's why it's gonna take some time. But yeah. But thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Please, yes, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Um, but other than that, um, speaking of, for those of you who would like to, help support the cause, as you can see, the link is right there, you know, and that's what it is. Hey, OG! Oh my goodness! Mwah. Oh my goodness! Peace and blessings to OG Patrice. Let me tell y'all something about OG Patrice. OG Patrice and I have, we've never met, but here's what's interesting. Um, we've spoken like on the phone and things like that, but we've never physically met, but she, like the name OG Patrice, it suits her well. And all I could say is, please go check out her YouTube channel, check out her talent, give her all the love and support that you can give, because she truly is an OG in this space. And I tell you, the talks that her and I have had has been nothing short of just, either inspiring or just wonderful, or just a solid friend to talk to. And so here's my virtual flowers to you, OG Patrice. So OG, tell me what's going on. Tell me what's going on. So yeah, I mean, OG, if you would like to come up, and talk, for a few minutes or whatever, just let me know, and I will drop the link so that you can come on in and we could chop it up. Okay. Oh my goodness, this is great. This is great. Um, but anyways, yeah, 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 absolutely, absolutely. You know, uh, like I say, I'm just taking life one day at a time, and that's pretty much where I'm at the moment. So, like I was saying, there's a project that I'm going to be starting. As far as music, it's going to be a different kind of project, and then there's something else that I also want to get going, but but I just need to chip away at certain things. So I don't want to speak too soon, about what it is that I'm trying to do until everything, has, come to fruition. Then I'll speak about it. Then it will make sense. So if you can just be patient with me as far as me revealing, what it is that I'm talking about, um, it will all make sense. It will all make sense. Okay. Um, but other than that, so I'm here, still chipping away, like I said, taking life one day at a time. So while you guys are here, speaking of, do me one favor, hit that like button. Just hit that like button for me so that the algorithm can push this out to many, 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 many people. Okay. So that's all you got to do. Just hit that like button for me. All right. Um, so who else is in here? I see there's 9 people watching. So yeah, so talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Since 9 people are in the room, by the way, thank you for coming and stopping by and coming to check me out. Um, yeah, make your presence known. I'd love to see who's in the room, just to give you a greeting and say hey, say what's up, and all that good stuff. Um, yeah, but so I saw a couple of shall we say, interesting videos, and I just want to kind of share my thoughts on what I saw. So I guess you can call this a blind reaction, right? But I want you guys to leave your comments in terms of what's your thoughts on this. Okay, so I saw a video recently where it's basically saying that in 2025, cheating is going to be considered illegal. And so, also with that, um, you could be serving jail time for cheating on your spouse. But obviously, once that's, proven, right? So, what I wanted to know in the comments, what is you guys feeling on this uh, on this whole law that's supposedly supposed to go into effect? Or is it fake news? Or do you think this is a good thing? Do you think this is a bad thing? Let me know in the comments what you all think about this. Um, my thoughts is this: is it's a good and it's a bad thing. So let me put it this way, right? It's a good thing in the sense that um, it would it would show the people who are in the relationships, or rather in the marriage, because this is more geared towards marriage, by the way. Um, it would show people who are married that, you know, if you take the marriage serious, then, you know, if you don't like how the marriage is going, then the last thing you want to do is cheat. Because if cheating is against the law, you're going to pay a price for that. And it could turn out that, for example, um, if you were caught cheating and let's say you went to jail and now it's on your record, uh, and and the other part to it could be that, let's just say, this all went through, that it could be used where you could lose the case as far as divorce. Like, for example, if you're trying to claim alimony or if you're trying to claim certain things because you cheated, that could be used as a defense by default. Um, but like I said, obviously, what I'm saying, these are just opinions that I'm just giving you to say, here's what I think, right? It doesn't mean this is the gospel or anything. Big shot officer, salute to you. So anyway, so like I was saying, um, it doesn't mean that this is what's set into motion. This is just my thought to say this could be a possibility that it could end up this way. And it's sort of like saying, you know, if you don't want to be with someone, even if the marriage is bad, then just separate, just get out. But don't cheat, for God's sakes, where, you cheating could make it worse on you, you know. So, and also it's also another way of saying, you need to take the marriage more seriously. But at the same time, I will say this: everybody, everybody is subject to change. And I know this all too well, especially everything that I've been through, everything that I've seen, especially people that were in my life, they've turned against me, people who've said things, people who've done things that was just shitty. Yeah, I'll say it. Yeah, it was shitty. Um, and so forth. Um, but um, but anyways, um, so let me see what OG's saying. She's saying cheating is a very selfish act by one that wants their cake and eat. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, 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 yeah. But let me ask you this, OG Patrice. Like, do you think that if this went into law, that cheating was against the law and you can serve jail time provided you were found guilty and you were caught and all this other stuff, do you think this is a good thing or do you think this is a bad thing? And also, I'm asking the same to the rest of uh, everyone that's watching. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think this is a good thing? Do you think this is a bad thing? Even though right now, like I said, it's just talk that's been floating around. Um, so I don't know if it's 100% true or if it's fake news. But at the same time, I'm just using this as a conversational piece just to say, you know, is this good or is this bad? And my opinion, I feel like parts of it is good because it's trying to encourage. doing the right thing. Um, but that doesn't guarantee the right thing will happen neither. Um, it's a bad thing because depending on the perception of someone, uh, it could be seen as um, they could be taking advantage of the system, or they could, they could feel like, even if they were the ones cheating, that this is totally unfair, because they might have felt like, well, I did this and I did this in the marriage to help us to get to this point. So why should I lose out? But the flip side of that argument is to say, well, we're sorry, you broke the law, right? And that's the simple answer to that. So, anyways, what's OG Patrice say? She said, I can't see them passing this as against the law because a lot of people. Well, okay, so all right, let's put it this way, right? Let's put it this way. So, like, here's two sides of the coin as far as I'm as far as I'm concerned, right? Now, yes, this could be a bad thing because that would mean that's a lot of people going to jail, right? And it's bad enough that, we don't need to encourage the jail system, as bad as the jail system is. But at the same time, the flip side of the argument would be, we need to encourage that if, you're in the marriage for better or for worse and all these things, that you still need to do the right thing, you know? And as long as you're doing the right thing, then can't nobody hold that against you. But if you're doing the wrong thing and it's against the law, then, you know, you don't have, you weaken the case. You know? Oh my God. Oh, well, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So tell me, OG, what's going on? What's going on? So, yeah, OG, listen, if you want to come on up and we could just chop it up for a couple of minutes, I would love to have you on. I will put the link, okay, for you to come on up. All right. Let me know, OG. I would love to just, even if we chop it up for like 5 minutes or something, But if you're busy, it's fine. I understand. I understand. It's not a problem. All right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I got you. I got you. I got you. I got you. Got you. Boom. There you go. There you go. Come on up. Yes. Yes. We'd love to have OG in the house. Yes. Yes. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. Anyways, so while we wait for OG to come on in the house and have a discussion. So, anyways, oh, there she is. There she is. Hey, OG.
Hey, how are you, Mike?
Oh my goodness. Like I said, taking life one day at a time.
Okay, you doing okay? Is
Yes.
things getting better?
Well, it's chipping away slowly but surely. Yeah, it's just
Okay.
chipping away. That's all. Um,
Look
but
well, and it's good to see you and hear you, and you hanging in there. So
thank you, thank you, thank you. Peace and blessings.
continue to
Oh, by
do
the
that.
way, OG,
Yes.
um, I just want to give a side note, by the way, because I kind of found out, like, I think 2 months ago, that Brother Clarence passed away.
Yes. Yeah. That really broke my heart. I still, because we met in person. So
Oh wow, wow, wow,
we met in
wow,
person. He came to the stage play that I was doing when I was out there in California. And
wow,
yeah, we actually met. So it was,
wow.
yeah, that was my brother.
Yeah, yeah.
Man,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
many,
yeah,
many great.
yeah. Uh-oh, she dropped off. Come on back, OG. All right. So we'll just. Here she is. Here she is. All right. Go ahead, OG.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay. Yeah,
Um,
go ahead.
many, many great conversations.
Yes, yes,
Many times, and of course, being on this platform, talking about life,
yes, yes,
relationships, marriage, things of that nature, and
yes.
we just got a bond. Like he really was my brother, and I miss him
Yeah.
so much. I still think about him and grieve, and
Wow.
just
Wow.
like I would
Mhm.
a loved one. So yeah, it's funny because I just called Vaughn and was talking to him because I had
Mhm.
had a moment. I had a moment where he crossed my mind and just got
Yes,
to
yes,
know about it. But yeah, I miss him so much. He was a good dude. He
yes,
really
yes,
was
yes,
a
yes,
good
yes.
man.
Like
Yeah, but I'm surprised you just had found out about him. But yeah, he passed away.
so, my understanding, Vaughn said, I think it was November.
Yeah, somewhere around that time he passed
Okay.
away. hmm
So, was it health issues or what was the case?
Yeah, it was. He was having health problems that
Oh, wow.
he was keeping it from away from the ladies, meaning me, Sister
Mm,
Annie,
mm, 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 mm,
Sister Lisa, and he was just only having the conversation with the guys. He was
mm,
having
mm, mm.
with Vaughn. He was having it with Bolo from Bolo TV. He
Yeah,
was
that's his guy, man.
yeah, he was having it with Rico. All those
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah,
he was telling them not to tell us. So,
yeah,
and then it
yeah.
came down to where he was had to have this surgery. He was in a
Okay,
hospital, and
okay.
he ended up having two strokes back to back,
Boy, boy.
and he never gained conscious. He
Wow.
was, you have two massive strokes like that, and he
Yeah.
was, pretty much only the machine was keeping him alive. So yeah, and
Wow.
family went on and decided to
Wow.
unplug the machine, and he passed away a couple days, I think a day or two after that.
Wow.
But yeah, it's very devastating because he had hopes of having that surgery and everything was
Mhm,
going to,
mhm, mhm, mhm.
but when you have a lot of underlying health conditions, especially hypertension, that
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
you out, and he had hypertension already, so
Wow.
having two strokes, I guess from the surgery
Mhm, mhm,
was too much for his body to take. So
mhm, mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
but thank you for asking.
So,
Yep,
yeah, 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 because I knew how close you were to him.
yeah, that was my brother.
So that's why I just wanted to bring that up as a side note.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, so yeah, so let me ask you this. So getting back to what I was talking about, like
Mhm.
what is your feeling in terms of what's the good points and what's the bad points if this was to pass, by the way?
Oh God, I just I don't see that passing. I don't see
Right,
that law passing. And I'm gonna tell you, I mean, I said it in a joking way, but honestly, a lot of people will be locked up in jail, right? And
right.
I think the states will make a lot of money off of that from people, and if they can get away with that, they would do it. But it is more of a immoral thing than it is a illegal thing.
Right.
Uh, if you're speaking biblically, the
Yeah.
Bible tells you it's better to marry than burn. And that, in this sense, means that instead of going out there,
Hmm.
just messing around here and there, just, find you someone and marry and have your soul appetite be satisfied with that one person. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen in the real world, right? And we
Correct.
know
Correct.
that people cheat. So, and then in that case, the Bible also tells you, if you can't be faithful to this person, then you need to leave this person. And
Yes. Yes.
again, that's another incident where, like I said, cheating is a very selfish act, because
Yeah.
people want to be able to stay with the person that they're with and still cheat on them with someone else. So that's
Hmm.
where,
Hmm.
that comes into play, where I think it's more immoral thing than it would be an illegal thing, and they wouldn't be able
Mm.
to pass that law because it would be a lot of people in jail. And
Hmm.
would the government or the states love to benefit off of that? Absolutely, because they know they make a lot of money, because people would be bonding themselves out, paying for court fees and
Right.
all of that. And
Right.
now, so I don't think that would ever come into play as becoming a law, because it's only an immoral thing, right?
Right. Right.
But again, the cheating in and of itself is a selfish act, that
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
does,
Yeah.
when they, like I said, they want to keep the one at home and
Yes.
still be able to play out outside. It's just a very selfish act that
Yes. Yes.
um,
Yes.
people, they do. And I don't believe in the context of once a cheater, always a cheater. I believe that
Mm.
I do believe a person can make a mistake once and not do it again. I
Hmm.
do
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
If Because if they are genuinely sorry, they actions to follow behind the apology. So if and and I'm gonna use myself, because women cheat too, right? So say if
Right.
I was
Right.
a
Right.
woman who's
Right.
married, and I went outside my marriage and I cheated,
Oh
and
wow. Oh wow.
I genuinely, wholeheartedly apologized to my
Hmm.
husband,
Hmm.
and I said it was a mistake, it was a moment of
Hmm.
weakness, we were having issues, whatever it was. Because most of the time, when a person cheat, they try to use excuses as to why they cheat, but it's really a them issue. It's not even, because, like I said, even if it is the other person that's doing something that you don't like, you can always leave. So when
Yeah,
you,
but you know what? Let me just add some context. I
Mhm.
didn't mean to interrupt, but let me just
No,
add some context to what you just said, right? Because um, I was watching Joe Budden, right? Shout out to Joe Budden, by the way. Okay, and they were
okay.
talking about um, the case with Diddy, right?
Hmm.
And the panel brought up a very, very interesting point by saying, you know, sometimes in some situations, is it really that easy to say we can just walk away? You know? So, like, for example, with the point that they were trying to make was here you have a person like Cassie who's with a very powerful man, right? And he has millions and, all sorts of things that you could think of to his access and all this other stuff. And even though he might be doing all of these bad things, but, you know, can you really say sometimes in certain cases it's that easy to say, you know what, let me just get up and walk away?
And it's not, just to answer that in a nutshell, it's not. It's not easy to walk away, especially if you love that person. That's number one. And number
Right.
two, if you have become accustomed to live a certain lifestyle, as Cassie
Yeah.
did,
Yeah.
I think that she enjoyed, the fruits of that. So no. And then their case is a rare case, right? It's a different kind of case because it falls under so much other stuff. It falls up under, everything that now he's alleged to be charged with. It falls up under her being a battered woman, domestic violence victim. It falls up under her being having Stockholm syndrome. It falls up under her being in a narcissistic abusive relationship. So her
Right.
case and his case is not a what you call a normal regular case between a couple. It's just not.
Right.
It's
Right.
unique. It's different. It's
But
so many
but
other elements.
but also let's keep in mind, and not to divert from the point that we're making, right? That even though with Diddy's case, what he's being charged for, or what you're saying, it that's not, the premise of the case, right?
Right. No, I
Because
get what
this
you're
is
saying,
this
but
is this
you're
is
talking about.
this is a this is
Mhm.
a federal case and not a state case. Yeah.
Right, right. I get what you're saying. I was speaking in
Yeah.
general as far
Yeah,
as
no, 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 no. Right, right, right.
infidelity.
I just want to make sure that
Like,
we're clear
yeah,
that
yeah.
all what you're saying is valid, but at the same
Yeah, because
time,
the infidelity, the
yeah,
cheating, and,
yeah,
and and even these sexcapades, like he would
yeah, yeah,
not
yeah,
go
yeah, 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 yeah.
would not go to prison for that unless he has broken the law where where it becomes the sex trafficking and that nature. Now, if that be proven in court, that's a different story. But other than that,
Right.
many couples, from since the beginning of time almost have had various sexcapades. And it wasn't considered illegal, immoral. Like I said, yes, but
Yep,
not
yep,
illegal because
yep,
we
yep.
know, back in our times, threesomes and menage a trois and orgies, all of that,
Right,
that was pretty
right,
norm,
right,
right? Like,
right.
especially being in the industry we're in, it
Yes,
just
yes, yes,
was,
yes, yes. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
you know. But now but these are, but then those were consenting adults, and those were adults that wasn't breaking a law by trafficking people across state line or
Right, right,
forcing
right,
someone or coercing
right,
someone to do
right,
something they didn't want to do. These were consenting adults that wanted
right.
to do this with each other. Where you
Yeah,
have these swinger clubs and all of these
yeah,
things where
yeah,
those couples do that, and you go somewhere like Vegas and it's legal.
yeah,
Couples can walk
yeah,
in
yeah.
swing clubs and they can swing all they want and they don't go to jail. Because
Right, right. Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
it is what it is. But yeah, so they, like I said, their case is unique. So I wouldn't use their case as an example. If you have a regular couple that is married or even living together or whatever for umpteen years, because in certain states, common law is like being married too, depending on what state you're in.
Right.
So you can look at it
By
for a
the way,
long time.
OJ, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's 7 or 8 years, correct?
That is correct. Most of them is 7+ years. Yeah.
Correct.
For
Okay.
common
Okay.
law.
All right,
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah. And then, say, like I said, since I'm up here talking, I'm gonna use the woman as the person that is cheated, right?
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
yeah, you could have a good life with that man. You could have a good job, a good home, the 2.5 kids and a dog, the picket fence. You could have, people, like I said, they cheat for selfish reasons, whatever it
Yeah,
is. It's
yeah,
people that have got everything you could imagine that I know that have cheated. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
you're in that position. A lot of times you're doing it for selfish reasons. A lot of times you're
yeah.
doing it because of the opportunity presents itself. And
Yes,
it
yes,
may be something you are curious about. It may be something
mm-hmm,
that you
mm-hmm,
are attracted to and you have not had enough maturity level to be saying, okay, I can see someone, be attracted to them, but don't cross that line.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
That's what
mm-hmm,
happens a lot when people cheat. if the opportunity presents itself, you meet someone, you're
That's right.
attracted to, but you're married or you're in a relationship, and
That's right. That's
flirting
right.
goes on. Now, are you mature enough? Are you wise and seasoned enough to know this is as far as I can ever let this go, and
That's
I
right.
can walk away from this? And a
That's
lot
right.
of times people can't, and they don't for their own
Hmm.
self, especially if just say in that relationship or marriage they haven't gotten attention, they haven't been told they're beautiful or they're whatever, or they feel like they lacking something
That's
in
right.
that relationship,
That's
and
right.
subconsciously they start to have the emotional
That's
affair.
right.
You
That's right.
starts first emotionally, right? That person is saying things to this person they haven't heard in years from their spouse, and it's making them feel good, making them
Hmm.
feel, important. And you already attracted. You see the attraction in this person. Listen, just
Yeah.
because we're married to someone and we're adults doesn't mean we can't see somebody else and be attracted to them. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, we're
That's
human beings.
that's right.
We may be married or in a relationship, but we're not dead. We know somebody that looks good to us when we see them, right?
Listen, there's always someone that's always going to be more attractive, more this, more that.
Absolutely, you're right. So again, the selfish part comes in when we don't think about what it's going to do to the person we're with.
Hmm.
That's when the selfishness of crossing that line comes in.
Hmm.
Is we don't think about what it's going to do to the person that we're in love with, that we married to, that we live with, been with forever and a day,
Hmm.
right? So we, in our minds, make excuses and say, well, they haven't told me I'm beautiful in 9 years. We've been together 15 years and he don't do this to me anymore. He don't do that. Like we
Right.
will use
Right.
every excuse in the world,
And
but it's
by the way,
mhm,
sometimes what they're saying in terms of they're sharing their truth by saying, well, look, this person hasn't made me feel X, Y, and Z,
exactly.
also can be valid, but it doesn't, as you say, give the excuse
There's
to
an
do
excuse.
bad behavior.
Correct. Exactly. You can say, yes, that is true. And it may be true. That may be a reason, but that's not an excuse for you to go out and cheat on your spouse, right?
Mm,
When you can go home, sit down with that person and say, hey, you haven't made me feel this way in a long
mhm,
time.
mhm, mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
but we don't do that. We tend to go off of the emotion of how that person is making us feel in the moment by what they're saying to us. And
Mhm.
now, oh
Mhm.
God, this handsome man is giving me all this attention, and my husband isn't giving it to me at home, right? So we're
Yeah.
used to being in a routine and and just coming home and now we've been together so long that all those sweet nothings he don't say to me. We don't go out
Right.
for dates. He don't take me
Right.
dancing. You don't,
Right.
all of that. So
Right.
I'm missing all of that as a woman, but I'm not telling my husband that, right? So now this new
And
man comes in
yes.
my life and he's
Right.
telling me all those things and sweeping me off my feet. And
Right.
now I'm feeling brand new again,
Okay.
right?
But let me ask you
So
this. All right. Watch this. Let me ask you this. What about the ones who say, well, my husband hasn't done X, Y, and Z and blah, 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 blah. But, um, you know, I've told him numerous of occasions and it fell on deaf ears. And because it's fell on deaf ears, it might as well be chalked up as he simply doesn't care or doesn't give a shit. So if he doesn't give a shit, doesn't care, then I've exhausted my efforts. So ah, might as well. What do you say
well,
to that?
if you have exhausted all avenues, right, with
Right.
having the conversation, suggesting maybe counseling, marriage counseling, suggesting alternative options. in the marriage, if he's not open to that, then perhaps you need to have the conversation with him and say, look, we can either be in this marriage and you can accept that this is going to happen and change where I'm concerned, or either
Mm-hmm.
we can dissolve this marriage. Like, I really do believe in the open communication and conversation, because when you cheat, you don't give that person the option to say yay or nay. So before you cheat, you should give them the option to say yay or nay. And most likely they're
Mm-hmm.
going to, right? But in some
Mm-hmm.
cases, say, for instance, you are in a sexless marriage, right? You got a,
Mm.
this is a good point I'm going to bring up, because you got a
Come on, come on.
lot to lose in this sexless marriage. One person can
Mm.
no longer be sexually active, but the other
Mm-hmm.
person wants to be sexually active. You got a
Mm-hmm.
lot
Mm-hmm.
of marriage, you got property, you got a business together, you got a home
Mm-hmm.
together.
Mm-hmm.
May or may not be out the house, whatever, but it's a lot tied up in that marriage, because believe it or not, when you got that much tied up in a marriage, not only is it a marriage, it's also a business. It's an institution of a business.
Mm-hmm.
So now,
Mm-hmm. Speak on it.
but one person don't want to be sexually active anymore, or can't be. It may be a medical reason, and maybe who knows what. I still believe you need to have that open conversation. Hey,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what it is, and I want to be sexually fulfilled.
Yes,
Now, if
yes.
you handle that and we still come be in this marriage and we work this business and we run this house and we pay our bills and we be there for our children and we do it, then we can live that way, or we can dissolve things, split things down the middle. If you put
Mm-hmm.
half into this business and I put half into this business, we can decide what we gonna do. Either I'll sell you my half, you sell me yours, or we
Mm-hmm.
split,
Mm-hmm.
sell the business, split it down, or we
Yes,
continue to be business partners.
absolutely.
Whatever the
Absolutely.
decision can be, I believe that grown adults should be able to do that. See, but we don't choose to do that. That's not our first reaction, because we want to be selfish. Again, we are only thinking about ourselves in the moment and the gratification of what cheating is giving us in that moment.
So let me ask you, OG, because by the way, I am totally loving everything that you're saying, and I can't help but to ask, what was the moment that made you realize, after you cheated, you did whatever it is that you did, that you came out and you said, you know what, here's what I learned from it. What did you learn, and what made you get to the point that you are today?
Oh, I was using myself as an example. I never cheated, but I
Oh,
was
okay, okay,
losing.
okay, okay, okay. Sorry.
I was using myself as an example. But I'm gonna give you an example of a friend of mine, right? That I know that was in a marriage and infidelity
Go
was
ahead.
there.
Go ahead.
So when you really get down to it, because and it was the woman, it was my girlfriend, and I asked her
Mm.
going to counseling and everything, because she, in the end, wanted to save her marriage.
Mhm.
She really had to dig deep as into why she cheated on her husband.
Mhm. Mhm.
And again, they had children, they had a business and a home, very successful. You think people are happy, but cheating has nothing to do, again, with the other person. Like, she learned that in counseling, and she told me that. She said it was things within me, deep down inside, that I hadn't resolved with myself. She said, and
Mm.
is a very selfish act, because I still wanted my husband, my home, our business, and all of
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
still wanted the gratification of what I was getting outside my marriage. That
Mhm.
all I
Mhm.
do was talk to my husband, go to counseling with
Yes.
my husband. And
Yes.
so she
Yes.
risked losing all of that. And which is what happened. They end up going to counseling and was able to resolve their marriage, and she never cheated again. They still together, happily married right now. But she had to deal with her own issue because cheating is a self issue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We like to make excuses to try to put it on the other person, but it
Mm-hmm.
really is a self thing. And from what I'm understanding, she told me that she learned is that it absolutely was because her husband was good to her. He didn't
Mm-hmm.
verbally abuse her. He didn't physically abuse her. He was a good father, a good husband. They had a business. They had a home, and
Mm-hmm.
she was the one cheated. So it is a thing within self. And when you work whatever that is out with self, now she says, of course I still see, good looking men, and they may flirt or they may wink their eye or
Mm-hmm.
says, but I know I cannot let it go any further than that anymore, because when I think about, and the first thing that comes to mind is, how would my husband feel if
Mm-hmm.
that to him again? She said,
So
and go ahead.
sorry. Sorry to interrupt. So um, I just wanted to ask. I know you can't speak for her, right? But do you think that maybe the husband played his part in some kind of way to make her feel like he was lacking something that made her feel like I need to do this, or is it as you say, there was nothing lacking. It was just her own selfishness that just wanted what she wanted and felt, okay, well, if I can get away with this, then hey, you know, it's just a one and done.
Yeah, because she said the only thing that she had realized that, like I said, their life had got stagnant because they had got so busy,
Mm,
wrapped up in their
yeah.
business, in their
Mm-hmm.
children. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when you are wrapped up in all of that, you forget each other. You
Yeah.
forget about,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
you even sometimes lose yourself
Mm-hmm.
in all
Mm-hmm.
of that. So
Mm-hmm.
now, what she told me that was suggested that they do in marriage counseling was suggested to them that they take time out for themselves. So now their children are now grown and out the house. So it's not even about.
Mm-hmm.
She said a marriage has never been better because they always take vacation together. They always do couples time, couples dates, and then they allow to do their things separate, whatever it is they like to do. He likes to golf with the buddies. She likes to go on, a girl trip or whatever, or a girl spa day, whatever it is. And that's what they do. She said, and her marriage has never been better now. It's because they treat each other better, and they make the time. And you hear me, even though they're still busy running a business, they make the time, meaning
Mm-hmm.
they stop everything else, put it aside, have somebody else to run that business while they're gone, and they take vacation together.
So, OG, is it your opinion that it took for the cheating for things to be better, or do you think, in your opinion, that if they never cheated and they simply went to counseling or whatever it basically took to fix the issue so that it wouldn't resort to cheating, then where they're at today would happen? What's your thought?
Well, she said definitely if she wished she hadn't cheated, right? She wished she had
Right,
had the thought and maturity to just go to her
right,
husband and say,
right.
we need to go to marriage counseling because I'm hurting and I need to find
Hmm.
out what it is going on with me, or
Hmm.
just go to
Hmm.
or go to counseling on her own. Tell her husband, I'm having these feelings. I need to figure out what it is. Of course,
Right.
cheating is never the answer, right? So she never
Of course,
wished,
of course.
she never said if it wasn't for the cheating, she just said she wished she would have been mature enough to have the thoughts that she have now.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the cheating thing happened that brought
Right.
them to this, but it almost destroyed them too.
Right. But my point in saying all of this is it is my belief, right, that sometimes, not all the time, sometimes it takes a bad situation to get a greater situation.
Yes, I understand what you're saying there. I understand your point you're saying. So
And
yeah,
so
and
and
you
so
don't know
when
what's
and so
going
and the story of what you're saying about her, that's
on.
the impression I'm getting.
Oh, you're
I'm
saying that if it wasn't for the cheating, they wouldn't be where they are today?
correct. Not that I'm wishing it. In other words,
Yeah.
it's like saying it took for the cheating because, as you say, if
For
she
them to get
didn't
to
cheat,
hmm
remember you said everything was just, you know, stagnant. You
Well, they
know,
got into
it,
they got
it's
complacent.
you know,
It's not
huh?
complacency. They got
Right,
complacent with
right,
it.
right,
Yeah.
right. So that's my point of saying that the fact that it got complacent, it got stagnant, yada 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 yada. It's not moving up, it's not moving down. And I'm just saying, in a positive way, and in hindsight, I'm flipping a negative situation by saying it took a negative situation to get a better situation. See what I mean? Because
I,
otherwise, the only other option for them to get to the point that they are today would have been A, to either have that conversation, or B, go to counseling.
yes. And I would say I understand what you're saying. I'm never gonna say that that it's good that the cheating happened. I
No,
just
no, no.
can't.
Right, right,
I
right, right,
me
right.
personally can't say that. I don't know how
No, no,
she
no, no, no,
feels
no,
about that. Now
no,
that's
no.
a good
We're
question. I
not.
never asked her.
No, no, no,
I never
no,
asked her that, and
no,
maybe
no.
I will say, do you feel like if it wasn't for you cheating, you guys wouldn't be where you are? I mean, we're I can ask her that question and she'll tell me. But for me, I could never say, well, if I just can't see myself saying that. You know what I mean? That if it wasn't for something bad, that something good. I don't know. That one, I don't know. I don't know.
It's just like I
Because
said.
I haven't experienced it. I haven't experienced it, so I can't.
No, no, right,
I'm
right.
I'm I'm looking at it from the other side and saying, no, 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 I can't. I could never.
Okay,
But see, I've never experienced it, so I can't. I
right.
can't say that. I would have to ask her, someone who has experienced it, and see what her answer would be. And really, is a really great question.
Well, okay, but like I said, it's the point is it's to look at it from a hindsight point of view, uh,
Yeah.
because I give example, right? Like, um, I I have I have played certain gigs and got fired and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even though nobody wants to be fired from anything, let's be honest, right?
Right.
But
Right.
what I'm saying is, it took for me getting fired, as negative as the situation
Mm-hmm.
was, for
Mm-hmm.
me to be in a better position where, you know, I don't move the same as before in terms of why I got fired.
Right. I get you. And that's a
Yeah.
perfect example because that happened to me. And so I guess in that sense, I would say, wow, if I never got fired from that gig, I never would have got this gig. Right. This gig is better. It pays more money. I got
Right.
more hours,
Right.
and the job is actually easier, and I get
Right.
along with the people better. So I, yeah,
So
yeah,
so that's
I
exactly my
get that.
point. It took a bad situation
Yes.
to get to a better situation. Not that I'm no, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm wishing. No, no, no. It's
Yes.
just you have to look at it in hindsight to say
In hindsight, I know what you're
sometimes
saying.
in
Yeah.
life, right? Sometimes in life, and I had to learn this years ago that um, sometimes in life you gotta walk through the shit before you see the light of day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I yeah, I do. I get what you're saying. You gotta, go through the storm to get to the
absolutely,
sunlight. Right?
absolutely,
Like like
absolutely.
the storm will pass. I totally understand what
Yeah,
you're saying. That's actually a really great question to ask her. Because I'm
yeah, yeah,
curious now.
yeah,
Now you got me
yeah.
curious. I mean, they've been together back in happy bliss, and
Yes,
and
yes. Awesome,
I
awesome. That's
watched
a
their
great story, by the way.
oh my God, and I watched their pictures, on
Right,
social
right,
media, on their
right.
cruises, and they doing
Yeah,
this and that together, and I could tell
awesome,
that
awesome. God bless them.
we were very happy because she said we have to make the time. She says because
Yeah,
we still so busy, we still running a business. She said, but we set aside, we made that promise
yeah, yeah,
to one
yeah,
another after her,
yeah,
cheating and them
yeah,
going to marriage counseling, that they sat down and they actually have conversations and they actually speak and talk to each other no matter what it is that's
yeah,
bothering them. If
yeah,
it's
yep,
something
yep.
that one person said or did that they don't like, that she said
Mm-hmm,
we
mm-hmm.
we don't just go to sleep on it, and now we in our feelings, and then that'll make a person go, well, he did this to me and said that to me,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
now
yeah,
we're going to do this over
yeah.
here. She said that is what causes and leads to a lot of disdain and
Yes,
cheating and lying in the marriages, because
yes,
we're
yes,
not having the conversations anymore.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
and she said, besides, her counselor said, if you don't want to keep running up this bill, y'all really need to talk to each other more. She said, then you won't have to be coming sitting on my couch talking to me. Talk to each other.
You know it's funny you said that because sometimes I wonder. This is just my thinking, right? Sometimes I
Mhm.
wonder with some of these counselors, like, do they ever stop and think to themselves, probably a good percent of the people that they see, right?
Mhm.
It's almost like saying, I'm pretty sure the counselors has had these thoughts with certain people. You really didn't need me, or you didn't need to pay me X amount, because guess what? You could have had your friend OG just sit there and listen to the two of you and just be the middleman and do the same exact thing.
But you know what it is? It's when the persons that's close to you, like family and friends,
Right.
when they tell you something, regarding your relationship or marriage, first of all, that a lot of people feel away, right? Especially when it comes from a family or friend, because again, we are on the outside looking in, and a
Yep.
lot of times
Yep.
people can't handle that,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially when they're your family or friends, because it hits different when you
Well,
hear
right.
when you hear an outside person. Listen to me. When you hear an outside person
Hmm.
that doesn't know you, have no skin in the game, don't know you from a can of paint,
Hmm.
give you that analysis, it hits different with them. Now,
Well,
this is
to be
someone
fair,
that this is
right, but
someone that's not a
no,
relative of friend that's telling you.
no, no,
This
no,
is
no,
a
right, right, right,
professional
right. Yeah. Well,
that's digging in. Mhm.
to be fair, in what you're saying is that okay, like I'm pretty sure if I come to you and I said, man, OG Patrice, this chick did da 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 yada yada yada, whatever, whatever, and the chick came to you and said, man, Mikey did blah 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 blah, blah, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, even though you're going to listen because you've given your word, said, hey, this is what I'm here for, but as far as we're concerned, you know, the default is you're gonna have some sort of bias. Whereas with someone that doesn't
But depending
know, as you
on
say,
yeah,
someone don't know you from a
right.
can of paint, they have no
Ex-
bias. No
Exactly.
bias.
Exactly. So if I know you, right, and we're friends, and then I meet your lady, and
Right.
we become friendly, cordial, but I know
Yeah.
you, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you come to me, say such and such about her, she comes to me, say such and such about you.
Yeah.
Me being the left head I am, because I'm a person, I don't care how good of a friend I am to you, I'm gonna tell you the truth about you, whether you want to
Right.
hear it or not.
Right.
That's just me. Because I would
Right.
want the same thing, no matter
Right.
how much it hurts or whatever. Because if Mikey is in the wrong, I'm gonna say, Mikey, you were wrong for that, blah 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 blah. And I may tell her, hey, well, are you talking to him? Are you,
Yeah.
that type
Yeah.
of thing? But
Yeah.
I'm gonna come to you as your friend, and I
Yeah.
should be able to do that, right?
Yep.
And you may
Yep.
you may
Yep.
feel away for a minute, but when you think about it, you're like, oh well, OG's right, and
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can even do that. But the thing about family and friends is we don't tend to listen to them all the time. We'll listen to
It's some well, it really depends because sometimes right, because sometimes with some family, right? I think what happens is it's the delivery of what they're saying that it's not always easy to say, here's what I want you to know. And because you know how their delivery is, you're like, I don't know. See?
right, and that's why the person who don't have the best delivery is definitely not the person you should go to. So
But
if
but but
it's
but,
a
but,
person,
but but there's a flip side to what I just said, right?
uh-huh,
There's a flip side. Check this out. So, for example, right? Let's say this is me and you talking. I'm going to use your example, right?
yeah,
Now, even though you're going to tell me about myself, right?
yeah,
but but the flip side of it is your loyalty, which to me is probably the bigger point than anything else, you know, is more important than the delivery. Because for me, you know,
mhm.
you're just saying how you feel, but the loyalty,
Yeah. The loyalty of
loyalty,
our
yep,
friendship means a lot to you, even though
right,
you be like, well, I don't like the way you said it, OG, but you're right in the end. As long
right,
the thing is, because some people are more straightforward than others, right? Like
yes, yes,
I'm a straightforward person, so
right,
sometimes to other people it may be my delivery to them, right?
yes, yes,
So so if I come to you straight up and I be like, Mikey, that was foul what you did,
hmm
that
hmm hmm
that, and I may give you 10 reasons why you shouldn't, and
hmm
I may say, look, I have seen nothing but this woman respect you, treat you good. Now
hmm
I don't know, you need to do better by her. That's what I would say, honestly,
right, right,
right?
right,
I said, and I would say, and if you can't do that, then you need to let her be free where she can get with somebody that deserves to treat her right. I would
hmm
say that.
hmm
And you
hmm
may not
hmm
like that, right? That may
right,
make
right,
you
right, right,
feel away because you
right,
don't want to think about somebody else having this woman that you like. Right,
right,
right. So you may
right,
not like that I say that, but I may
right.
say I'm going to say that to you because
Because
as
I'm
your
like, oh,
friend.
gee, I'm trying to find a new woman,
But,
man.
but I'm be like, no, but you're not treating her right, Mike. You're not treating her right, Mike, and she deserves to be treated right, Mike.
Right,
So,
right.
Mike, if you can't treat her right, Mike, you need to let her go and let her find somebody that will, Mike. Okay,
Yes, yes, yes.
and that may not hit very well with you, but I'm your
Right, right,
friend.
right.
I
Yep,
love
yep,
you, and I'm
yep,
just telling you what's right. And
yeah,
it may
yeah,
make you feel away in
yeah,
the moment,
yeah,
but
yeah,
after a while, you
yeah,
settle down,
yeah,
you think about it, you be like,
yeah.
Okay, I ain't like the way OG said that, but she right.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
right. I didn't like
yeah,
the delivery, but in the interim, she's right. So I'm either gonna, get it together or just leave this woman alone if I can't treat her right,
yeah,
because
yeah,
OG's right in the end, right? So
yeah,
you
yeah,
either straighten up and act right, or let her go and let it fly. Because
yeah,
don't
yeah,
keep treating her that way,
yeah.
especially if you have a good woman or man in your life, right? It's like, and
Mm,
a lot of times we don't understand why people cheat on the men and women that are good in their life, that are good people. They good to them. They just good in general. They're faithful. They taking care of what they supposed to. Some of the best people in marriages and relationships get cheated on. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
why I
yeah,
say it has nothing to do with that person. It has everything to do with you, why you
yeah,
cheat.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, we don't live in a world where it's, for lack of a better term, logically correct all the time, right?
Right. Exactly.
Because because sometimes um, we we're put in situations where we make a decision right then and there, and depending on which way the decision is going to swing is going to depend on either A, if it's successful, B, if it's a failure, or C, um, you know this decision can be a complete change.
Mm-hmm.
um, and I'll give you an example of what I'm saying, right? um, there's this singer. I know I'm relating everything to music, but that's the best way I can
Yeah,
give the
no,
best
no problem.
examples. Okay,
No problem.
so there's a singer in New York. Is his name is Ron. Shout out to Ron if you watch him, brother. Anyways, now Ron is a good example of what I'm about to tell you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ron um, is a gay man, but what makes his story interesting is that he was a married man, faithful, everything, right? Even up until the divorce, he was a straight man, okay? And he, did his gigs. He liked women, yada, 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 yada. And he met his boyfriend, and for some reason, he just said, this guy turned my life around. And imagine, this is a guy that, you know, he would have never imagined or thought of in his lifetime to get with, because that was never his life for the last 20 something years, married with kids and all that stuff. And because of that one moment and decision he made, changed his life, and he decided, hey, this is the way I'm going to go.
Okay, so can I ask you some questions?
Go for it.
Okay, so Ron, is he strictly gay now, or is he
Yes.
bisexual? Is he oh, he's strictly gay now. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how old is he?
So Ron should be, well, Ron is in his 60s now.
Okay, so how old was he when this life change happened?
Uh, in his late 40s.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Late 40s.
prior to that, he had been married, have children, and all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, this is just my opinion.
Go for it.
I am no expert on anything on this,
Go for it.
but in my opinion, I believe that Ron was either bisexual or had gay tendencies prior to this. I
Mm-hmm.
just,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
do. And
Mm-hmm.
it may be something that he suppressed for many, many years. but
Right.
I believe it was already there. Because there is no way, no one time experience thing is going to say that this changed my life when I did this. It
Okay.
had to be, in my opinion. It,
No, no, oh, no, no. And you're doing good. I love it. I love it. Come on, come on,
I
come
just
on.
believe that it was down inside of him all the time, and he may suppressed it. He may have blocked it or something like that, because I just do not see all of a sudden a straight man just
Mm-hmm.
from that one experience saying, "Oh, this is my life, and this is the way I'm going to be for the rest of my life."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I want people to live straight lives, and then they experience the same sex, but they still are bisexual. They will still go both ways, but they always have said that they have always suppressed that same sex part of them that wanted to be with
Mm-hmm.
the same sex. That's why I'm saying that
Okay.
I
So
believe
let me,
there's
right.
oppression
So let
and
me,
block there with your friend Ron.
no, 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 no. You're
That's
doing good.
my opinion.
So let me ask you this, in your opinion, by the way. Um, do you believe ultimately that had he stayed true to who he was from the get go, then he shouldn't have been with this woman and had kids? Or watch this. Or do you believe, you see, like the example I was talking about, sometimes you got to go through a situation for you to get a better situation. Do you believe that could have been, you know, the outcome that made him realize, before I transitioned to this, I needed to go through this to really see, man, it took me going through all this for me to finally say, okay, start being truthful now.
Now, at the time he experienced the same sex relationship, was he still married?
No, no, no. He was divorced already.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah,
So
divorced.
he was long divorced and everything. Okay,
Yeah, he was divorced.
um, okay. Again, for me, I just okay. I'm not gonna say that he should not have experienced what he experienced being
Okay.
married with a woman and having kids. I'm not gonna never say that he should not have experienced that, because I think that a lot of people experience that, even females. I know plenty of them that were married.
Mm-hmm.
Now they are strictly with women now. You know,
I
um,
know a few. I
yeah,
know a few.
I know a
And
couple of them
and by
myself.
the way,
So
and they're great people. Oh my God.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah, and it's
great people.
it's no shade to them. We're talking about the dynamics, right,
Yes,
of
yes. Go on, go on.
relationships in general, and it doesn't matter if it's opposite sex relationship or same sex relationship. It's a
Go on,
relationship,
go on.
because I think that for the same reasons that straight people, heterosexual people cheat, it's no different from when same sex, people cheat. It's no different, honestly, for real. It's not. So in that sense, no, I would say no. I don't think that his experience at being a husband and a father to children, uh, yeah, should have been any different. People
Hmm.
experience are their experiences, for various reasons. So, and I'm pretty sure there had to be some good and some joy that came out of that
Yeah,
marriage.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Children, I'm sure he still loved them the same. You know what I mean? So,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
none of that. I don't believe that should change anything. I
Hmm.
just,
Hmm.
in my opinion,
Hmm.
people suppress those feelings, because like my former ex sister-in-law,
Mm.
same thing. She was married. She never had kids, but she was married
Mm. 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 Mm.
to a man. She
Mm.
she after, even after her marriage, she still dated men for a long time. but she ended up telling me that she had always suppressed the feeling of
Mm,
women. That's why
mm.
I just cannot. For me, in my opinion, I believe that your friend Ron always had an attraction for men. He
Okay,
just never
okay,
acted on it. He
okay,
suppressed it. He blocked it out for
okay,
whatever reason,
okay.
and a lot of times it be societal and the way society, is still are against same sex relationships and
Yeah,
marriages, right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
believe a
yeah.
lot of times that they suppress and they block that out. And I believe, in my opinion, that that's your friend's Ron's case. I believe he
Hmm,
absolutely
hmm,
down was always attracted to men. He just never acted on it.
hmm. So okay, so let me ask you this from the reverse point of view, right? This is the reverse. Let's say that the brat decides I'm done with women. I'm gonna finally tie the knot with a guy. Would you say that that would be the same with the brat that she's been suppressing being with men?
No, because the brat was with men before she was with women. See, I know the brat. I know her personally, right? So
Okay.
the brat was with men. She went. Ivan Iverson is one of them. She used
Mm-hmm.
to date him. She used to date the guy that's now married to Rashida on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
With
yeah,
men,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And and I knew all the time. Now, had she probably had some female experience when she was younger, like teenager, or
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
but she absolutely had been with men.
mm-hmm.
Now she's choosing to be strictly with a woman. So now
Right,
she's choosing to only strictly be in a lesbian relationship and marriage. But she
right. So
was with men
yeah,
prior to that.
no, no, no. Okay, but all right. So what I'm asking is, let's just say she's like, you know what? I'm done with this chick. I'm going back to a guy. I miss getting
Mhm.
dick down. Let's just say that's the case, right?
Yeah,
Let's just say that's the case, right? I miss a
yeah.
man, his feeling, his this, yeah. Let's just say she decides to go that route. Is
Hmm.
your opinion still the same in terms of her suppressing, or is your opinion still feels like, you know what, she's still a bisexual woman, or she's, whatever?
Yeah, my opinion will be she's still a bisexual woman because if you can go back and forth, you
Hmm,
you you may suppress those feelings for a while, but then if you choose to start back messing around with
hmm,
the opposite sex, then that makes you bisexual because
hmm, hmm.
you have been with or be with both sexes. And,
Okay, okay.
and a lot of times I think that that is a lot of the extra plus that bisexual people get in those type of relationships is because
Hmm,
they are
hmm, hmm,
they
hmm,
say they're attracted to both men and women, so they don't have a problem being with both. And it may be a time where they may do only strictly the woman in the same
hmm,
sex, or
hmm, hmm, hmm,
they may do only just the two men, but then
hmm,
they'll flip flop and go back, right? So that's why they're called bi because they go both ways. But so if somebody like the brat stepped outside her marriage because she's married
hmm.
now
Yes,
and
she is.
be with a man, she's still bisexual.
Okay.
She suppressed those feelings to be in this marriage with a lesbian woman, but that still wouldn't change her being bisexual. And I'm gonna give you a perfect example of what you was talking about earlier. You know the comedian and game show host Niecy Nash
Yeah, yeah. I was just about to go there, but go on.
is a perfect example of
Right.
and I love Niecy Nash. Don't get me wrong. Don't I love
Yes,
her to death.
yes, yes. Yeah,
She's
yeah,
a,
yeah.
listen. She is the coolest person. I met her in person because I went on the game show that she hosts.
Nice, nice,
So
nice,
so
nice.
so I she used to always say she never in a million years you could never told her that she would have, went and dated, not let's known date, but marry somebody of the same sex, right?
Yeah,
Because
because she said that publicly, by the way. Yeah, she has said that. Yeah.
yeah, she used to always say I'm
Yeah.
strictly
Yes.
dickly, right? And listen, and for all of her life up until she met Jessica Best, she absolutely was, right?
Right, right,
From her mouth. So
right, right,
now
right.
now she meets Jessica Best and they friends, and then friends turn
Right.
into something else, and the rest is
Yes, yes.
history, right? Now they
Correct,
are now
correct, correct,
a
correct.
married couple. So I still believe, I don't care what nobody say, this is just my opinion. I still
Mm-hmm.
that there was a suppression of being attracted to the same sex that was there in her.
Okay, okay,
That's just my opinion.
okay, okay. Fair enough, fair enough, fair
You
enough.
know, that's just me. I just believe that, and sometimes, and maybe she didn't even know it was there until she actually got there in that moment with woman being Jessica,
Right.
and really being attracted to her in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that they started out as friends, and she's like, "Oh, this person's cool," or whatever, and then finding out, it goes from friend to attraction. That's usually how most relationships go. So
Okay.
I don't think it's anything different. I think that I just believe, in my opinion, that maybe subconsciously or something, she suppressed those. But I just believe that she was always attracted to a woman. She just
Mm-hmm.
never acted on it. She may have, again, the mind has a way of blocking things, suppressing things and memories and feelings and emotions. We do it all the time as human beings. And I believe that that's possibly her case as well.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Very interesting, by the way. Wow. 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 So, man, I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I miss talking to OG Patrice, because I mean, the kind of conversations we have, I mean, just as you can see how I'm picking her thoughts and picking her brain, and and I'm just trying to get an idea of how she feels and how she thinks. And this is not a matter of right or wrong answers. This is just a conversation, right? But the point is I miss OG, okay?
Oh, I miss you too. I miss you. I'm glad that you went live. When I saw that you were live, I said, "Let me see what my old buddy doing." Let me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think I'm. I think I'll just. It's funny because I've thought about doing it once a week.
Okay.
So maybe I'll try to be a little bit more consistent in that matter, to be like once a week. I'll try. I'll try. But
Well, that will be
wow,
lovely.
but I really have to say, in in the great words of brother Clarence, outstanding performance.
Right, exactly. I miss him saying that. So thank you for saying that. God, outstanding performance. Brother Mike, outstanding. Great performance. Awesome. Yeah, my brother said that. Absolutely. But it was so good to talk to you, Mike. And
Anytime, anytime,
I'm glad
anytime,
things are
anytime.
doing well. Do you have any musical gigs coming up soon? What are you up to?
So, I mean, right now, I've just been doing like more one-offs type of
Okay.
gigs.
Hmm. You
Um,
are you still in the UK, if you don't mind me asking?
yeah. Still in the UK.
Oh,
So, I
okay.
mean, as far as the gigs and stuff, I post that, like on my IG, and
Okay.
some of it I also post on my YouTube as a drummer, which you know about because that's how we originally met before I started this
Yeah,
one. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, and speaking of, so has Lead spoken on, his feeling about Clarence passing away?
If he has, I don't know. I have
Okay,
not tuned into um TLA in a very, very long time.
okay, okay.
So I don't know. And I know you heard about him, right? Having bone
Yes,
cancer. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, I know
yeah,
he did a whole thing on that. I didn't want to watch it. I just, it was just so much bad news going on.
yeah,
I
yeah,
heard
yeah,
about
yeah,
him and
yeah,
all of that,
yeah,
but
yeah,
no, I have not tuned into the leader. I'm pretty sure, some of the oldies, have probably
yeah, yeah,
told
yeah,
him.
yeah, 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 yeah,
I'm
yeah,
pretty sure he
yeah,
knows because he used
yeah,
to, before he got so big and famous, he used to come on Blood Brother Clarence channel all the time and sit on the panel with us sometime. But
yeah, yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah,
so
yeah,
big and famous
yeah.
now. He don't come sit on the little platforms anymore. So yeah, no, I haven't seen or talked to Lee in a long time.
Yes,
But
yes,
I
yes.
wish him well.
That's all good.
Yeah, so I got in a couple months I got a gig coming up. We're gonna open up for the Dramatics, which is gonna be in
Ooh, nice, nice,
yeah, here in Arizona. So it's gonna
nice.
be cool. We and trying to get the bigger one to open up for the OJs, but it's my understanding now that some things health wise, and definitely say a prayer for
Hmm.
brother Eddie Levert because he's
For
been
brother
going through
who?
Eddie Levert from
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
OJ.
yeah. Yes, 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 yes.
Say,
Yeah,
say
yeah,
prayers
yeah.
to him.
Where's
It's
the
my
Eddie Levert?
understanding.
Let me just share this with y'all. Okay,
Um,
I gotta share this with everyone.
uh-huh.
Many years ago. Okay, when I was in New York City. Okay, um, I was one of the house drummers. They had this thing every Sunday at a place called Chaz and Wilson's.
Mhm.
And it was like, you know, a jam where every and anybody would show up. And at that time, um, Clive Davis and Puffy would come in there somewhat regular. But at this point, Puffy wasn't where he is today. You know what I mean? So
Right.
Clive would bring in like these acts either he was interested in or was about to sign, and
Mhm.
he would have them sitting on the band. And one night Eddie walks in and he was like, hey man, I feel like, and they're like, okay, cool. So let me just tell y'all something. That man's voice, oh
Mhm.
my goodness, man. Oh my goodness. Like,
You talking about put everything on that stage when he performed. That man leaves everything on that stage when he performed. Blood, sweat, tears,
let me tell you something.
powerhouse.
I'm just telling you something. Like when he came and he sat in with us, and his delivery, I mean, it's one of those moments where you're just like, man, now I see why this guy's is such an icon.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you could watch someone on TV and you can listen and you can say, "Oh man, that's great," whatever. Da, 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 da. But when they're in front of your face
Mhm.
and you're hearing them and they're doing their thing, and you hear the richness of their voice, and they have such a good personality, and they're just tearing up the stage like it's like you had to been there kind of thing. You're just like,
Mhm.
oh man,
Oh yeah.
oof,
I can only
oof,
imagine.
oh God, man, oof.
Did you get to play behind him?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He sat in with the band.
Oh, awesome, awesome.
He sat in with
Because
the band.
I know you told me about the time you played behind Shaka, so that's so
Yeah,
dope.
yeah, 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 yeah. And
Yeah.
and just to let everybody know, the short version of the story. So I was at this uh place called Honeysuckle that's in Manhattan. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And actually I wasn't even the drummer at that moment. There was somebody else. And in walks in Shaka. And Shaka, please forgive me if you're watching this. Okay, but truth be told, but it's all good. Let's just say Shaka was feeling real nice. Real nice. Okay. I'm trying to clean it up, okay? I'm trying to clean it up. Okay. I don't wanna, anyways. So I'm just gonna leave it as she was feeling real nice. Okay. And she went up to the leader and said she felt like singing. And she asked the musicians, did they know this song, this song, this song, this song, this song, this song? And the drummer didn't even know, not even the majority of it. And the piano player turned to her and said, "Ask that guy right there." And she looked at
Mm,
me and she said, "Do you know I feel for you? Do you know? Tell me something." I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah." She's like, "Okay, you're my drummer right now."
mm.
And let me tell you something. As nice as she was feeling,
Mhm.
Patrice, God is my witness. I have never in my lifetime have ever seen anybody who could sing their ass off, who can command the stage, be nice, be drunk, be everything, and
Like
just
that.
like 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 she was so on it. It was unreal, unreal,
Wow. And that's an amazing
un. I'm
that's an amazing legendary story that you will always have in history, like some of those great moments of playing behind the likes of her and Eddie Laverde and probably many, many
yeah,
more.
yeah.
My brother
But
that's
that's not even the catch to the story. The
hmm
catch to the story is this. So like I said, it was amazing because every singer I know who has been like that,
hmm
you know, it's always messy. It's this, it's that. It's yeah.
yeah.
Her like vocally, right there. You know, she was like she kicked your ass, kicked your ass. Okay,
Oh, that's why she's legendary. I mean,
so
yeah.
okay, so when we were done, give a hug, okay, it was nice, yada yada yada. All right, cool.
hmm
So about almost a week after, um, so this drummer who was like my mentor friend, and he taught me and things like that, a couple of things, named
hmm
Dennis Chambers. So Dennis was doing this thing with the great bassist Anthony Jackson. Now, if you know who Anthony Jackson is, he's also played on Shaka's hits,
hmm
and he is the bassist for the OJ's Money Money Money.
Oh, okay. Oh, that
Yeah,
bass line on there.
yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Look up the name Anthony Jackson.
Yes.
Look it up. Anyways,
Okay.
so it was him and this guitarist named Steve Kahn. They were doing this trio, and during the sound check, Shaka walked in. Now, so of course I'm like, well, you know, she's not gonna remember me, so I'm not gonna act like hey, and so I just played it casual, like,
Especially she was intoxicated too. You really would have thought she wouldn't.
mhm. like I said, I'm trying to clean it up by saying that's how nice she was feeling.
Yes.
Okay. So, like I said, it wasn't intoxicated, it was everything, if you catch what I'm
Yes.
saying.
Yes.
Okay. It was everything. Right.
Hmm.
So, if you know, you know. Let's leave it at that. Right.
Exactly. I know.
So, so when she walked in, because like I said, she knows Anthony, she knows Dennis, she knows these people, they work with her. All right, cool. So I wasn't thinking she's gonna remember me. So I just happened to walk by and she said, "Hey, how you doing?" And I'm like, "You remember me?" She's like, "Of course I did."
Oh wow.
I'm like, huh?
Oh
How the
wow.
heck do you remember me as nice as you were feeling?
Oh my goodness.
Let me tell you something. After that moment, I had the utmost respect for her. Utmost.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You got
since
to,
that,
right.
everybody who I know who has worked with her and I've told that story, they've all said a
Hmm.
similar thing. Their sentiments were
Oh
all similar, all of them. Like,
wow.
even all right. So, like, the guy who played sax on the original Octopussy, right? He said one day they were doing Top of the Pops, and he was the conductor, and same kind of thing, that she was feeling somewhat nice and she fell off the stage and she still was singing her ass off, man. Oh my god, man.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Now you know that's a
yeah,
professional. It's no
yeah.
matter what, the show must go on. Wow.
And here and speaking of, here's a different kind of story that I want to share with you. But this is a different kind of story, since you mentioned the show must go on. I remember going to go see Patti LaBelle in Brooklyn in the park, right? And mind you, I was way in the back. So
Mm,
um, the band kicked off, and she came, and when she came, she sang like a couple of notes, and then the mic started to give away, and there was problems with the mic, and she's kicking her shoes, she's the eyebrows, and you know
yeah.
regular Patty stuff, and she's throwing her mink coat, and the car's just going nuts, right?
Uh-huh.
And you know, engineers are like scrambling, and they finally got a mic that was working, and she kind of mushed the guy away to go, no, 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 no. Listen to me when I tell you, I'm all the way in the back. The band is playing, and she decides, I'm gonna show you how good I am, and she's singing. She is singing without a
Mhm.
flipping mic, and I can still hear
Mhm.
this goddamn woman.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
I
I
can hear
mean,
this woman.
yeah.
It was the sickest thing I've ever seen. Like,
Yeah.
the band
That
is
was
playing through the
it.
system. She's singing without a mic, and she's like, "Let me show y'all what I could do."
Yep.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness,
I mean,
unreal,
that's a God
unreal.
given. Yeah, I mean, they just are God given, talented, and it's so good to know. Like right now, those sisters are touring together. With Gladys and
Yeah,
with Stephanie, and it's
yeah,
just, I think that is the most awesomest, beautiful thing
yeah,
ever. That
yes,
that those four beautiful queens are together and on tour is
yeah,
wonderful. I
yeah.
plan to go see them in California because I miss
Okay,
Vegas. I didn't get to see them in Vegas, but I plan to go in California, and I can't wait because all four of those beautiful queens are icons. They are legends in
oh
their
my God,
own right,
yes,
and to put all four of them together was an absolute grand idea. Whoever came up with that idea is
yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
grand.
yeah. So here's what I want to ask you, because I'm glad we're talking about this, right?
Hmm.
What do you feel is missing in the artists or the female artists rather today that
Mhm.
they don't have that special something like the ladies of your Shakas and your Gladyses and your Patties and like what do you feel is missing that they don't have
Um,
that?
and it's not all of them because there
Okay.
is a few that I like that I feel that has more growing to do, but they are
Hmm.
good. They are really good, and like I love Lettucey, right?
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I I love Jasmine Sullivan, so I think
Mhm.
that those young ladies have what it takes
Right,
to get to that plateau of the Gladyses, of the Stephanie Mills, of the Shaka Khans, and of the Patti LaBelle's, right?
right.
But what
By
I
the
see,
way, by the way,
mhm,
side note,
yeah.
would you throw in Layla Hathaway or not?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Love
Okay,
her.
okay,
Yeah,
continue. All right,
yeah,
continue, continue.
yeah, no doubt. I mean, she comes from that legendary lineage, right? With her
Yes,
dad, Donny Hathaway,
yes,
one of my favorite singers of all times, right?
yes,
So
yes, yes.
absolutely.
Okay.
Those ladies definitely are on their way to that status if they continue to elevate themselves. The
Okay.
same way, the Shakas and the Gladyses and the Patties and the Stephanies did. Those ladies have a heart and a passion for the music, for the art, and for the
Mm-hmm.
people. So when you have all of that in a combination and you
Mm-hmm.
got a God given talent, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a lot of hoopla behind you, like a lot of the kind of more mimicky type of singers. And it's
Go on.
not taking away anything from somebody like a Lady Gaga or
Mm-hmm.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about pure, unadulterated vocal ability,
Yeah.
where I don't have to have a bunch of like a clown performances behind me with, flying off a trampoline and,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and I got all these people on stage. And this, to me, sometimes that can be distracting from me wanting to just
Right.
see the
Right.
talent, hear the
Right.
talent, hear
And by
your
the
vocal.
way, yes. And by the way, um, I believe if my sentiment is correct, and this is no disrespect to people like Pink and those type of
Yeah,
artists that
none at
do
all.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, because and Pink can sing. So yeah, I'm not
Yeah, yeah,
taking
yeah,
it.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
sometimes I just think all the theatrics take away from
Mm-hmm.
like the vocal. Like I just really like when Pink stood on the stage without all the hoopla and sung. Well, what song was that she sung? She sung. Oh God, it was. Oh, I forget was the name of the song. And I said, my God, this girl can really sing. But I
Mm-hmm.
get it.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a different generation and they all
Mm-hmm.
about
Mm-hmm.
the hoopla and all of that. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the singers that can just, if you can stand on a stage and command the stage and
Mm-hmm.
bring your audience into the sound of your voice and
Mm-hmm.
mesmerize them in that way, like
Mm-hmm.
those women can do that we're talking about. To me, that's everything. When
Right.
you can
So
do that, that's pure unadulterated talent. And
right.
somebody that don't even have as a stronger voice than them, but they vocal ability, their presence are just phenomenal on stage. And
Right.
she doesn't have all that hoopla. Somebody that can do that and command the stage, and I can watch her whole concert
Mm-hmm.
and mesmerize. That is Sade.
Well,
Sade can do that.
here's why I asked the question, right? Because to me, right, when I look at, in my humble opinion, the majority of the singers, and that's why I asked the question, because years ago, you had to have that thing that was not just, the clothes or the like. You have to show what is it about your vocal ability that can make me say, man, you could sing the phone book, and I would still listen. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
I just felt like the singers from the 70s, 80s, 90s, you know,
Hmm.
that was the thing. And the 90s going on, it became a lost art.
Yes.
And so
And
this is why I'm saying that, you know, we have less of that. But again, I don't want to take away
hmm.
I don't want to take away the evolution of music. No, no, no. I don't want to take that away. But I'm
You're
just
right.
saying that because it's a lost art,
Absolutely. Yeah.
in my opinion, the people that we see who don't have that are the ones that are not on their way to becoming the icons and the leaders. You know, they're
And
just
this is why
they're
I'm
just
hoping, Mikey,
they're
that
just legends in their own right, but they're not the icons that are
right.
going to be next.
This is
And
why I'm
that's what I'm saying.
hoping.
It's a lost art to me.
Yeah, I agree. This is why I'm hoping that the Lettuces, the Jasmine Sullivans, the Layla Hathaways of the world
Hmm. Hmm.
change that pendulum, right? I see
Yeah,
that pendulum slowly changing back. And the reason why I'm saying it, and that's even in the male genre as well,
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
the Luthers, the Marvin Gayes,
yeah.
those singers, we need to see those back in the males. And the reason why I say that is for the same reason I'm saying it for the females, right? Because
Hmm.
it has become a lost art. Now I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
see
yeah.
next weekend. I'm going to see the young man October London. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I heard, I've been hearing about him.
And
Yeah.
I love the idea that he has brought the old soul
Hmm.
back. Sounds
Hmm.
so simple, Marvin Gaye, and he has brought that sound back. And I
Nice,
love that idea
nice,
that he's doing.
nice.
So next weekend, I actually got tickets to see him because I'm
Awesome,
like, God,
awesome.
please, continue to bring these type of singers back. And,
Yeah, yeah.
but we have to get behind that and support it. We
Well,
we do.
here's
We
right.
say
Well,
we
here's
want it and we
the
crave it, but we have to also support it when it presents itself.
so okay. Here's something interesting because of what you just said. Right. This is part of the reason why when Tank was explaining why he does these challenges is for the very reason that we're talking about. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
why.
I agree. Yeah,
Right, and so he also was saying the same thing that I'm saying, that it's just unfortunate that the evolution, and it's not to say that there aren't people who don't want to support it. It's just the evolution has taken a different direction, and because of the direction that it has taken, it's almost like saying they don't know any better. If you don't know any better, then how are you going to choose better? You know what I mean?
exactly. And that's why it's slowly changing back when you see these new artists that
Hmm.
are coming up, like the October Londons, especially on the male side, because besides him, I think the only one that's still singing genuine, pure, good R&B music is
Hmm.
Tyrese.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Tyrese's
yeah,
new
yeah,
album, he
yeah,
did a remake of all of those old school stuff plus some new
yes,
school stuff, and it
yeah,
sounds so good.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
if we
yeah,
want that old sound back, if we want that pure, unadulterated, without the auto tunes on it
yeah.
type of vocal ability, we have to support that when it presents itself to us. We
Well,
have to
I
buy
will
it.
say
We have
this.
to go. We have to play it. We have to go see the concerts because a
Right.
lot of our legends, they are leaving us, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
to see those four queens get up there and do what they doing. Listen, they may not be here next year. We need
Right.
to enjoy that while
Right.
we can, because
Right.
Gladys actually was able to. They had to push the dates back because Gladys was sick. So
That's right.
they're having health issues. They starting to, they leaving us. So if we have
Mm-hmm.
a new generation of artists that are coming up, that are singing and doing this and are pure, unadulterated, God-given talent with their vocals, then we need to get behind that and support that.
Yeah. Yeah. Now here's something interesting that um, Tyree shared was, and also Tank also shared a similar thing, is that
Hmm.
the support for what they do, it's there. It's just not on the charts,
Right. Yeah.
you know.
Hmm.
So for example, like Tyrese was saying, like he sold his records, like the
Hmm.
numbers is there, but
Right.
unfortunately, people's measuring stick, quote unquote, is, well, I don't see you on the charts. And he's
Yeah.
saying, well, just because I'm not on the charts, it doesn't mean I my records are not being
My
sold.
album
My
is
records
not
are
the
not
same.
being played. As a matter of fact, they
Exactly.
are being played. It's
Hmm.
just because they're not on the charts, it doesn't mean the support is not there. So this is why, for example, why that tour that I think he's still doing. No, no. Well, actually, it's done. When he did the tour with Tank, Genuine,
Yes.
uh, Tank and Genuine,
Uh-huh.
tour sold out.
Yep. Yeah. And again, because classics, right? Good classic music, it never
Yeah,
dies.
yeah,
That's why these four queens are able to come back and do this concert, because their music never dies. That's because every now and then Al Green can still come out of
of
retirement
course,
and
of
sell. That's why, you know what I mean? That's why
course.
Earth, Wind and Fire can still come and do concerts. And because we want to hear those classics. We still love the old school music. We
Yeah,
just need to bring back old school
yeah,
R&B to the
yeah,
forefront in
yeah,
the industry as a genre, the way it
yeah,
once was.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And when we do that, and we got to get behind it and support it, because we know
Yes,
that the younger generation, like I said, the October Londons, these younger generations are coming up, and they grew up with listening to it from their parents, so they love it. They want to do it, but they got to have the support as well.
well, and this is why I'm also bringing up the point about Tyrese and Tank, is that the music that we appreciate, right? It's kind of a double-edged sword,
Hmm.
meaning you have the industry that is saying, here's what we feel, that if we push this, this is what's going to make the numbers and the sales and the this and the that.
Hmm.
um Quote unquote court of public opinion is saying, y'all can miss me with all that, the October London, we don't mind spending the $1 for the download, we don't mind that. So that's where it becomes a double-edged sword.
Right. And that's why, and with the way the industry is now, that's why, the narrative has to be changed with the
Yeah.
way the business has went, right? When you go to the Spotify's and the iTunes and all of that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they're not making nothing but pennies on the dollar,
Right.
and, and the companies are still making all the money. Something is wrong, and that's why a
Right.
lot of these artists are becoming independent, because they don't make the money until
Right.
they do the touring, because they not seeing the sales from the record sales when you got to go to iTunes and Spotify and all of these places to download their music. They only making pennies off the dollar from that. So if I sell 100 million copies and
Right.
then I'm making a penny or 5 cents off of every dollar, I'm still not making a whole lot of money.
Well,
I still got to
I
go
will
out
say
there.
this.
I still got to tour. I still got to go out there and tour and to be able to, even pay the bills. Then you got the front end and you got the back end and you
Yeah,
got the
yeah,
middleman
yeah,
and you got
yeah,
the,
yeah, yeah,
everything comes out of that artist budget. And a lot of
yeah,
people
yeah.
don't get that, so yeah.
And speaking of artist budget, even though they might get the support, the artist got to pay that back.
So if it's given to them on the front end, they got to pay it back on the back
They got to
end.
pay it back. Okay.
Exactly.
And it's funny because you know with certain record companies, they would rather keep giving you the money so you keep owing them.
Well, of course, yeah, that's what they do, and they charge for everything from that. If you had a headache and took 2 Tylenols, they charging you for them 2 Tylenols you took. The water you drank, the M&Ms you had in your everything, everything is coming out,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
and that's the part of the business part that that the fans don't see. A lot of people don't
Right.
understand. But
Right.
yeah, I think that we have a really great chance for the R&B genre to become a thing again, right? Because it just either it got co-opted or not co-opted, either it got um kind of shifted
Yeah.
to someone that didn't look like us,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
singing
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
music and
Yeah.
made a
Yeah.
lot of money off of it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just kind of co-opted it from us, and then we wouldn't buy our own people's stuff, and
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
with that. And then it just started dying down when
mm-hmm.
the whole hip hop gangster rap came in and overtook and overshadowed that. We are to blame for a lot of it too. We let a lot of
Yeah.
it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you look at it, it's like we are the ones that are the consumers. When we
Mm-hmm,
buy,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
buy we can change the narrative and
Yeah. Yeah.
support good music. Period.
So yeah, but oh, and here's another thought to think about. Now, technically, at least with Apple Music, from an artist point of view, you stand a better chance because you can still download music, right?
Hmm.
And if you're independent, because I have music on there and I'm independent, you'll get about okay, so like if you charge like let's say a buck, you'll get about 95. So that's not too bad. That's not too bad, right? So what I'm saying here is if there was a way at this juncture that the downloads can get back to being pushed, then the streaming, even though the streaming makes it a lot more accessible, but the
Hmm.
downloads is what's going to put the monies back in
I
our
mean,
pockets to be able to say, you know, I can now afford to say I could go buy a house or buy a
yeah.
car, or I
Hmm.
could say, hey, I can make an actual living from my music without having to worry about, man, I need to sell, millions and millions and millions of stream just to be able to see a decent amount to say I could pay for something. See what I mean?
Yeah, and I want to say something else too. Just like I said, I'm going to see October London next weekend,
Yeah.
and Tamar Braxton is on the bill with him as a headliner, and then
Nice.
they got the young man Ro James is
Okay.
opening up for them.
Okay.
So now, contrary to what everybody believe,
Mm-hmm.
Tamar Tamar is actually a hella good singer. She's
She is.
actually,
No, she is.
in
She is.
my
She is.
opinion, a better singer than Tony. Tony just was the one that was the oldest and got the break. But Tamar got a hell of a voice. But what I'm noticing that Tamar is doing that I don't think that she should do so much of. She's dancing way too much on the stage with her dancers. And again, this is where distraction comes in my opinion. And this is where I'm noticing that Tamar is running out of breath a lot. That's because she's
Because,
dancing too much
yes,
with
but
her dancers. And she
right.
don't even have to do that because her talent of her voice alone is going
Hmm.
to command the stage. And I
All
and
right.
I
So,
really
so
want to tell her, girl, you ain't got to do all that dancing.
yeah,
We
but
come in to sing
let me
or
just put it this way.
dance.
All right. So let me just offer this, and I'm glad you brought that up, by the way, because I want to offer this perspective, and I don't know if you've thought about this, right? The reason for her doing that is because Beyonce is her competition.
But doesn't have to be. Why? They're not.
No.
You
Right. No, you're right. You're right.
know what I
But but when you have a person like Beyonce who is singing and dancing and has all of this, stuff going on, you know what I'm saying? And
But
she
you
puts on a
shouldn't
hell of
even.
she does put on a hell of a show. I'll give it to her, right? But
No,
what I'm
yeah,
saying is
Beyonce puts on a hell of a show, but that's Beyonce. That's her lane. That's her
exactly,
thing. Her
and
and
I was just
Yeah,
about to say,
her and
go on.
Tamar are two different individuals, and this is
Go
what I
on.
hate. This is what I hate that the industry has always done to artists, especially black artists, whether it's male or female.
Go on.
Why do they compete? Make them compete or tell you got to be just as good as Beyonce, or you're in competition with this person, or you no, the only person you in competition with is yourself. Because if
Because
you're good, guess what? If you
right.
good and I like Beyonce and I like Tamar, guess what? I'm gonna still buy both for their CD.
Yes, but
So I don't
what
understand why the
I can tell
industry
you.
does that to
I
us
can
and
tell
we
you.
allow it to happen. Because
I can
there is
tell you.
no way Tamar should be in any competition with no Beyonce.
And I can tell you the answer. The answer is this. And I don't know if you've noticed this, right? For every decade that has passed in the industry, right? There has always been that one artist who is at the top of the tops that ends up being, quote unquote, the template of this is what it's like if you're going to get those numbers. Yeah. So for example, right, like let's say you wanted to be like Beyonce, right? In order to be like Beyonce, you have to follow that template to be able to say, can you be as good or if not better than her? Because that's the template right
This is
now.
the thing that I don't like, Mike, that they do more so to women than the men, because everybody knew that Michael was at the top of the creme de la creme, right?
Yes.
And of course we know the Ushers, the Bobby Browns, the Chris Browns, all of them
Yes.
came up wanting mimicking Michael, but they
Hmm.
never made them compete with Michael. That is the thing because Michael was in his own lane. Beyonce
Yeah. Yeah.
is in its own lane. They
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
necessarily do that too much to the men. They do it a lot to the women, and I
Yeah.
noticed that.
Yeah.
It's just like when
And unfortunately, yeah. Yeah.
Mickey Howard came out. That's the record labels was telling her she needed to compete with Whitney. Why? I don't, and we allow
Because
that.
Whitney was the template.
I get it, but you don't have to
Right?
compete with the template. Uh,
No. You don't.
Listen,
No.
Whitney was pop. Mickey Howard was R&B.
Right.
Why am I? First of all, we're not even in the same genre.
Right.
Second of all, why are you making me compete with somebody that's already the creme de la creme, right? Like you said, the for all others to come behind her. Why is it that every other genre does not do that? We are the only ones that allow that. We never see Shania Twain and Faith Hill competing or being
No,
told they got to compete. They don't do it to our
no.
white counterparts in the industry. They don't do it to country. They don't. We allow it to happen, and we even fell into it by saying, "Oh, I like so and so better than so and so is better than so and so on." Like it's been ingrained and indoctrinated in us as well, and it don't have to be, because when I go shopping to buy music, if I like Whitney and I like Mariah, I'm gonna buy both CDs. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So this whole thing where they are petting these females against each other is another thing that we have allowed to ruin us. I don't recall. Now, it may have been, I'm pretty sure there was a little competition back in the Motown days, because I think that, yeah, everybody, Diana Ross thought everybody was trying to take her spot, honey. But see, listen.
But there was a difference. There was a difference
But
because
there was a difference, because Gladys still had her own lane. Patty still had her own lane.
yes,
Shaka
but
still had
there was
her
a
own lane.
difference.
Stephanie
Right,
Mills still had her own lane. No,
right.
you don't. Nobody said Natalie Cole. None of them. Aretha. None of them. Like there was not that type of competition in that way where they put that type of
Because
pressure on the
right,
next artist to succeed.
because okay, let me just say this, right? The majority of the reason, and this is why, I mentioned about there's the lost art, because number one, when you're talking about Motown, from the Supremes to Fifth Dimension, and all the ladies that was in Motown, right?
Hmm.
Even
Hmm.
up to Smokey and this one and that one, and you know the tops, Temptations, you name it.
Marguerite and the Vandellas. Yeah, the
Okay,
Marvelettes.
so
Hmm.
my point in saying Motown in specific was nobody was in competition, because remember, they all kept it in the family.
Exactly.
See what I mean? That was the
And
difference.
I
So,
get it.
so,
Motown was
so,
family oriented. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
so even all right. So I give example, right? Like for example, um, like Smokey wrote for this one, and then this one was actually the background singer for this track that you didn't even know. um
Exactly.
this, you
Hmm.
see what I mean? That's how
Hmm.
they ran the machine. Now,
Right.
it may look like competition, but it actually wasn't competition.
Right.
It
Yeah.
wasn't,
Yeah. No, I
because
get it.
because there was no way that the you know the Vandellas was going to try to compete with the Supremes,
Right.
because how you going to compete when the same musicians that you guys use is the same musicians on your track,
I know, and
right? That's number
this is
one.
why I'm saying that this is the mindset that we need to have now
Right,
in
right,
the
right,
industry now, because things are changing in the music
right,
industry. Right,
right.
there's been a shift in the
Yeah,
industry, especially
yeah,
with a lot of people, men being exposed and coming down, and
yeah,
things being torn down. All these different movements going on, and people are being removed from big executives places in the industry, right? And
yeah,
then
yeah.
you have see there's a thing. Lettucey and Jasmine Sullivan are not in competition with each other. They're
No, never
not.
have. No, no.
And because they're in their own right, in their own lane. When I
Yeah.
bought Jasmine Sullivan CD, I bought Lettucey's at the same time. So
Hmm.
if we keep the mindset of I like both of these people, they're two individual artists that I like and appreciate their music. Why do we have to allow the the which is falls on the artist and it falls on the fans? Why do we, first of all, the artists are allowing, or telling not standing up to the execs and say, I don't have to compete with my sister down the street, because my sister down the street is
Yeah,
who
but that's
she
a
is, and
if we're gonna be
I am
honest.
who I am, and I'm gonna sell off of my talent like she's gonna sell off of hers. Period. Point blank.
Okay, but
And
OG,
if my album don't do good, I'm not going to blame it on my sister down the street whose album is doing good. I'm gonna blame it on maybe my marketing team if y'all didn't market it right or something, or if they just not liking my music, because that happens sometimes. But
well,
they
okay,
make it about a competition, though. To me, that is should not exist when it comes to our genre and our people.
right, and here's what I was going to say to your point. It's somewhat of a slippery slope because when there's a saying that says, y- you know, the boss is the one that pays the cost, and if I'm the guy with the record company and I have $1 million to spend, and I'm saying, you know, I'm the one that's going to approve of what's going on,
Hmm.
then your argument as far as what you think and how you feel,
I
I
know
can
they don't
guarantee
care.
I can guarantee you,
They could care
you know,
less.
it's going to be very minimal,
Oh, I know. I
very
get it.
minimal,
But
because
but I'm saying again,
the
so
guy with the money,
I get it.
remember, he's got the bigger vision,
I get
right?
that. I get
And
it.
it and I will say this, it sucks because it's almost like saying somebody has you by the goddamn tail.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't be mad because you signed the contract saying, "Hey, I'll accept your freaking money
Yeah. I
for
get
you to
it.
put me on top." And if the
Right.
guy feels like, "Okay, this is what it's going to take for you to get on top," then you can either go along to get along, or you could say, "Screw that," and he could just put you as a tax write-off and be done with it.
Right. But see, I don't see it happening as much now, like I said, between like the
Yeah,
lettuce, the jasmine. So
yeah,
I don't see it happen. Where I see it happening at more now is in with the females in hip hop.
yeah,
Like the
yeah,
competition with the
yeah.
Cardi B's, the Meg the Stallions, the Nicki Minaj, and now they are absolutely the Remy Ma's, they are absolutely competing with each other. And it don't
Yeah,
have to be even in their genre. But
yeah, yeah.
again, it is the indoctrination that comes from the record labels that tell them, I need you to be better than Nicki Minaj, Cardi B.
Right.
I need you to be better than, you need to sell more, because I get it, it's about record sales. But again, it pits them women against each other,
Mm,
and they don't like each other. Then they doing other stuff behind each other back. The stuff I've heard that Nikki has tried to do,
mhm,
allegedly, to other females to stop them from getting on.
mhm,
It puts that mindset. It's a jealousy thing. It makes them jealous of each other.
mhm, mhm,
It puts the wrong thing, the
mhm,
mindset
mhm.
in those girls' heads for to make them act and compete the way they do against each other,
Yeah,
unfortunately. And
yeah,
that's the part
yeah.
that I don't like, because it has become so ugly, in that genre now.
Well, guess
Now,
what? And guess what? And
mhm,
not only it's the jealousy and all this other stuff. It now um has it now has taken a level where it's become criminal.
mhm,
Matter of fact, I don't know if you've noticed, I have probably seen more criminal cases with hip hop
yep,
than ever before.
yep.
Than
N-
ever before.
It's become so criminal now, on in the hip hop genre. The guys are unaliving each other.
Yeah.
That's how deep it's gotten. Oh, you don't want to sign with me? You go and sign with the competition. I'm gonna have you unalive. Or you don't want to sign with me and you want to stay independent, I'm gonna have you on the line. Oh, you
Right.
selling more records than me and they like you more. Oh, I'm on the live you because I'm jealous. I mean, that's what it's become to
Okay.
with the mix.
And then guess what? And then guess what? And here's another level to it. Okay. So the other level becomes, all right, check this out. Um, Drake is signed to this person. Kendrick is signed to this person. So let's see how we can knock out one another. So if you do a diss track, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that goes over like a fat rat, you could become the next template. But but you're taking a chance that that can go over well, or it could really backfire. Then
Well, it
Kendrick Lamar
really
fires
backfired.
back and go, "Oh yeah, okay."
It
So
backfired on Drake,
so
and this is the reason why it backfired on Drake. I'm gonna
right,
say this. I'm gonna let you finish your thought.
yep,
It backfired on Drake because Drake thought just because he was bigger than Kendrick Lamar, had a
that's
bigger
right, that's right,
following,
that's
he
right,
was more
that's right.
successful, thought that the masses was gonna go with him. But when Kendrick came out with that "They Not Like Us" and kind of
Mm-hmm,
spoke on Drake, and people loved it, soaked it up. Drake could not take that the masses didn't roll with him because he was the bigger artist, the most successful artist, the better artist, the sold more records artist. See, he thought, and this is again, this is where we go wrong, and the mindset. He thought just because he would create this beef with Kendrick Lamar, everybody's gonna be on my side because I'm the bigger artist with the bigger following and the most success and the most money. And but it backfired on him. And when it backfired on him,
mm-hmm,
he couldn't take it. So now he wants to go quiet, and now he wants to sue Kendrick and the record label and
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
all of that. And that's why it is not good for these labels and these artists to fall
mm-hmm,
into indoctrination of the
mm-hmm,
beef
mm-hmm.
and of that. It's just not it is not good for the culture at all.
Well, here's what I would say, right? And I'm glad we're talking about this because only the culture can regulate who gets to stay and who gets to go. So, give you an example, right? Like to me, in my humble opinion, right?
Hmm.
Like when when for example, when DJ Vlad said the things that he said about uh Minister the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan,
Hmm.
okay?
Hmm.
People were outraged and by right, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But what gets me in that particular scenario is why didn't the culture say cancel him one time? Like we really need to stick up and stand up and say, nah, dog, nah, this
Well,
one, no, we can't have that. You,
yeah. Well, I will say
you
this:
know, anything else you
majority
did, okay, but
majority
this
of us
one, okay,
did.
we got to draw the
Majority
line.
of us did cancel him. I will say that majority, but there's always going to be a few that's just not going to. They are still going to say, hey, I can't let it affect my bag, or hey, because Vlad pays for his interviews, and a lot of our people, they still, went over there and sat on his platform, and they said, well, he ain't done nothing to me, and I ain't got nothing to do with what he said about Farrakhan. So I will say the majority of the people did cancel Vlad. I think the Minister Louis Farrakhan thing was the icing on the cake, but Vlad has always been a culture vulture. He's always, taken from our culture and benefited off of it. And then when the disrespect came for Minister Louis Farrakhan, for a lot of people was the icing on the cake. But I know me personally, I never cared for him, right? And
Right.
I was never subscribed to him. I would watch some of the interviews when he would interview
Mhm,
people that I
mhm,
like on there,
mhm,
because he did interview like Shaka Khan and
mhm,
people like them. So I would look at it when he would interview. I didn't like the fact that he would have a lot of those black men, particularly those hip hop artists on there, and he would say things that I feel like he was getting them to incriminate themselves, and I didn't like that. But
yeah, yeah.
they didn't see that, and then what? Months later or next year, those same men end up locked up, and talk about, well, you
Mhm,
on blast
mhm,
platform and you said that on, and so I just didn't care for that. And then there was the disrespect of Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I am no Muslim by all means, but I have a lot of respect for Minister Louis Farrakhan,
mhm, mhm, mhm,
many of his speeches, and I
mhm.
felt, yes, at some point black people need to draw a line and say, that is it, I'm done. I'm canceling you. But because we as a culture will don't have the unity that we need to have, that's never going to happen. It's always going to be a handful of two of people that's not gonna, that's not gonna buckle up and say, I'm standing in unity with my people. It's always gonna be that. So when we see those people that are over there still doing the interviews, that is because they are choosing to be the ones that say, I'm still gonna go
Mhm,
get that
mhm,
bag.
mhm, mhm. So let me ask you this, OG. When does enough become enough and it's like, all right, time to draw the line?
You know, enough, I don't think will ever become enough for black people. You again, because black people has been indoctrinated with a lot of whitewash culture, unfortunately,
Mm,
right?
mm, mm,
And it's just like, I'm gonna give you a prime example. It's just like when Harriet Tubman was going under that railroad,
mm, 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 mm,
no slaves to free them. And then there was the ones that were scared. They got so far and they say, "Ooh, I
mm,
want to
mm,
go back.
mm, mm, mm.
I need to go back," because they were afraid. And Harriet had to say to them, "If I let you go back, you're going to tell the master how we're escaping, and I can't allow that to happen. So you either come and go with me, or I'm gonna have to kill you."
Yes, yes, yes.
There are people in our culture that look like us, are always going to be those type of people that want
Yeah,
to run back.
yeah,
And these
yeah.
are the people that will never draw the line and say enough is enough. That is why we will never have the unity that we will have. There's
Hmm,
always going to be the ones that are going to be the infiltrators,
hmm.
like the same ones that infiltrated into the Black Panther organization, pretending
Hmm,
that they
hmm.
our brothers and sisters, and they were going back being FBI informants and CIA informants, right? We
Right.
always are going to have that in our culture. That's why it will never be a unity amongst us. There will be a certain amount of percentage of people that will say, let's cancel this person for the disrespect,
Hmm.
but it's never going to be all of us, because we don't have a safety net. We don't have a security blanket. We don't have a coalition that where we have the power to cut means off for people like they do for us.
Right.
See, when they disrespect the Jewish community, they got the ADL behind them. They got people
Oh
that
man,
can
it's in an
cut
instant.
you off in an
It's in an
instant.
instant. It's in an
They are
instant.
tolerate the disrespect. You
Yeah.
gonna end up apologizing. You gonna, matter of
Yep.
fact, you gonna go on a whole apology tour to apologize.
Yeah. Yeah.
They gonna want
Yeah.
you to get educated about them and everything. We
Hmm.
don't do that. We don't even have that type of stance behind us, because the NAACP has been co-opted by people that don't look like us anymore. So they don't even stand for us in a sense anymore, right? That is why we will never have it. It will always be people that look like us, be the downfall of people that look like us.
So, okay, here's my curious question because of what you just said. Do you ever think maybe one day that day will come where there will be a turnaround? Because I can't, maybe it's just me and my naivety. So let's just call it that for the second. I can't see certain actions keep going on year after year after year. And this is why I asked the question, when does enough become enough?
I think if and when that ever happens, we'll be long gone, brother Mike. We'll be long
Well,
gone.
all right.
I
So
just, but I'm gonna
here's
be
my thought to
honest
that.
with you. I absolutely just don't think it'll ever happen. You
Okay.
know, for the reason of why systemic racism will never go
Mm-hmm,
away. It
mm-hmm,
will never
mm-hmm,
go away because
mm-hmm,
racist people have racist children that they
mm-hmm,
raise to become racist. And
mm-hmm,
then they
mm-hmm.
grow up and have children and they teach them to be racist and so
Yes.
on and so on. That's why
Mm-hmm,
racism is. That's just
mm-hmm.
my opinion.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I guess my whole thought to what you just said was one would have thought the whole purpose of the Million Man March was to uh, start the process of
The
exactly
contract.
what we
Yeah,
were
the
talking
contract.
about to
The con
eliminate.
well, that was the contract that a lot of our brothers and sisters made, particularly our black brothers made with themselves and each other and to their families,
Yeah,
right? And it worked for a while. But unfortunately, again, my brother, they broke that contract,
yeah,
broke it,
yeah,
broke the
yeah,
contract.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
they, what do you call it, backslid, right?
yeah, yep, yep.
And they became the same people that acquiesce again to the whitewash culture of things. They take
Hmm.
bags for to sell. They sell the community out, to sell the culture out. They take the bag. They
Yeah,
take the bag all the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that is why, again, Intel, and I spoke about that many times on Brother Clarence's platform about,
Okay.
and I reminded those black men about that contract that they made.
Hmm.
And it should have been a contract that should have been passed down from those men to their sons and
Yes.
from their sons' sons and so on and so on. Had that have happened, there would have been a success and a strong unity in our culture that could have been unbreakable. But unfortunately, there is always going to be infiltrators that is going to infiltrate the camp, learn your secrets, learn your ingredients, and then take it back to the clear people.
Yes. 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 Yes.
And then they're
Wow.
going to destroy your organization, same way they did the Black Panthers and so many other movements.
Mm-mm.
Once they kill off the leader, that makes the followers afraid. So now we don't have any of those strong leaders anymore. We don't have any Malcolms. We don't have any Martins because they killed all of them and don't nobody want to die. Black people scared. They scared if I come up and get into certain power and put my people back into unity and power and this and that, they
Mhm.
gonna kill me. So,
But let me ask you this.
black people, we scared. Black
But
people
let me
scared of
ask
a
you
lot of
this. Yeah, but let me ask you this. Do you think that that being scared is legitimate?
Of course, you have to be afraid. You don't think Martin was afraid? You don't think Malcolm was afraid? You don't
Of
think they
course.
had moments
Of,
where those
of
men
course.
were? But was it about the fear for them, or was it about the getting the job done and the code, being on the code and being unified? Was it
Hmm.
so?
Hmm.
So if they thought bigger than themselves, risking their
Mhm,
own lives,
mhm,
to
mhm.
me it was about the bottom line. It wasn't about their fear, because I believe those men both believe. Of course, they knew that somebody wanted to kill them, as much as they got death threats before they
Yeah,
even were murdered.
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
death threat, but we have a culture now, unfortunately, that has been more indoctrinated for us to be afraid of each other and to unalive each other faster than we ever would unalive somebody that don't look like us, that has caused us harm. We're unaliving each other for some of the craziest thing. Like I said, take the rap industry for it, the competition. You bumped into me. You stepped on my feet. You looked at me wrong. We are, you don't live on this side of the track. We are unaliving each other for the stupidest reasons. So how can we? But we easy to unalive each other.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
tell those same black men to go out there and unalive the George Zimmermans of the world and see what happens. See, we got
Unfortunately,
all the
right,
smoke.
right.
We got all the smoke for each other, and we will pow pow bang bang us in a minute.
Mm-hmm,
Tell them to go and defend the one that pow pow Trayvon Martin.
mm-hmm,
Tell them to go and do something about the cop that pow pow Tamir Rice or something like that.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
This
mm-hmm.
is gonna
Come
get
on,
mom to work. But I
come
can
on.
easily go next door or down the street or around the block and pop out my neighbor for stepping on my lawn.
Come on.
See, it's a mindset with
Right,
us, and it's an
right.
indoctrination where you unalive the people that's closer in proximity to you. That's where that whole black on black, which I hate that scenario, but that's that whole black on black thing that we've been brainwashed, is because unalivements and crimes happen because of proximity and opportunity. And because if we are in a community of people that look like us, 9 times out of 10, we'll unalive somebody in our community that look like us.
Well, here's my thought to what you just said, because I was just thinking as as you're talking, because you're making some really, really, um, great points. My thought to one of the things you said, because I was asking, when do you think enough would be enough, if that day ever would come, and you said, well, it's probably going to happen when we're gone. And my thinking to that is the following: if that day ever is going to come and we're never going to see it, I would rather that than it never, ever, ever,
Then
ever
it never
happen.
stops. Yeah, I agree. Me too. Me too. But
Seriously.
I mean, the way it's going now, I just don't even ever see it coming. But I said, if it did, we'll be long gone. I don't think it'll be in our lifetime. But in totality, I don't think it's ever going to happen until the creator come and shut the lights on this place we call
Mm-hmm.
planet Earth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Honestly, because it's too much disparity and fairness going on. Mankind has really did a horrible banged up job with what
Mm-hmm.
God signed man on earth to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
Mm-hmm.
that's, that's just facts, that mankind has really screwed up down here.
Well, it's only going to take mankind to check mankind and say, hey, stop the bullshit.
I
Or, or,
I
and guess what? And guess what? To the point that you just made earlier, this is why when mankind does things that we don't like, certain mankind make the decision and say, hey, I'm gonna delete your life because of that.
Yep.
Right?
There are certain
Or
things.
or
Mhm.
the other choice is, if they don't like, or if the mankind doesn't like what the other mankind is doing, then the mankind is going to go to the community and say, hey, enough is enough. And then the community is the one that says, okay, F around and find out.
Yeah.
And then
Very.
when they do F around and find out, guess what? It's all done like that.
Yeah.
And so to your point, that's
Mhm.
why, for example, when you were talking about here's a perfect case in point, right? It's just like when Nick Cannon, he said certain things about the Jewish community. You
Mhm.
notice not one person, not one mankind, it was the whole Jewish community got together and said,
Yep.
Nick, come on over here. We need to
Yep.
talk to you.
We gotta teach you something, boy. First, you gotta apologize, boy. You gotta apologize. You gotta go on a whole apology tour and apologize to the whole Jewish community, boy. And then after that, boy, I'ma send you to a rabbi where you need to learn about our culture, boy.
That's right. That's right.
That's what they did to him.
That's
And
right.
other than that, boy, we gonna stop your bag. You ain't gonna be able to work nowhere. Cause guess what, boy? We run all the media, all the game
That's right.
shows, all the
That's right.
talk shows, all the
That's
this,
right.
all the that, and you ain't gonna have a job, boy.
That's right.
That's what they do.
Now, can I say this? The objective side, let me make this clear. The objective side of me is going to say, can you blame them for feeling that way?
Not at all. I wish
Okay.
we had the power, the resources, and the wherewithal to do that. I can't
Well,
say I
well,
blame them.
Here's my thought to what you just said. I think we do have the power and the resources. It goes
Yeah,
back to
monetarily wise, yes, we do, but
okay.
not the
Let
power.
me
Black people don't own anything that can
no.
stop
Right.
people's
No, you're correct. You're
livelihood.
correct.
So we don't have that kind of power and resources.
No, right. No.
But our money, yes, our spending power, we have that. Yes.
Yes, but
But, but
here's where I'm going with it.
we don't own the banking systems, the education system, none of these
No.
systems
But
that that are ran by them that are not owned by us that can take our livelihood away from us. We don't own like they do. So in that sense, we are powerless.
what I was going to say, and I hope my example of my point um is a great case in point. Okay. My opinion says yes, because it's been proven before, right? And it's not so much about the money, it's so much about the community saying enough is enough. So without us, just like you're showing us we ain't shit without you, we could show you you ain't shit without us. So here's a case in point of what I'm talking about, that the black community had that enough is enough moment. Rosa Parks, when the black community decided, we ain't going on this bus, we walking, we doing this, we doing that, we doing this. The community suffered without the black community's support. They suffered. And they finally had to say, okay, you win. Am I right?
Well,
Or what do you think?
no, not necessarily, because I think the biggest stance that was made during that era was when they had the bus strike. When they had the bus strike, remember, and
Right,
they would not take the buses to work,
right.
and back and forth. They were carpooling, they were walking,
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah,
were,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
community as a whole was helping each other out in that sense. They made a stance until changes was made,
But but
as to
but
how
but this is
they.
my point. But that's my point was if if the bus system didn't necessarily need us while the stance was going on,
But they
what,
did.
what, no, no, no. But that's my point. If they didn't need us, then they wouldn't have to make the changes. Yes or no?
Right. If they right.
Right?
Right.
There you
No,
go.
you know, I
There you
agree
go.
there. That is why changes was made because they need us. It will be the
Right.
same. It will be the same in the music industry because we're some of the biggest consumers of in that industry,
Still
in
are.
the
Still are.
in still in the hair care industry, and
Still are.
absolutely when it comes to the sports.
Still are.
Look how Sadur Sanders is being treated. Look how he's being treated, right? And we know that the majority of the NFL is predominantly black.
Mm-hmm.
So if we stood behind that and say, I'm not going to watch, I'm not going to spend my money anymore buying these
Mm-hmm.
tickets, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to buy no sporting merchandise, because of this is what you guys are doing to this young black man just because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
he is maybe a little bit arrogant for you. See, what they're trying to do is emasculate that young man, and they're trying to make him pay because they don't like his father. And why is it that the white fathers of these NFL players, NBA players, MLB players can
Mm-hmm.
say, I don't want my sons to go there. I want my son to go here. I want my son to be this or that.
Yes.
Why
Yes.
is it there's not uh, 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 they're not being said that they're arrogant, but because Dion is saying, I want this for my son, or I don't want that for my son, or because Shadur Sanders wears a chain around his neck, they got a problem with it because he
Mhm,
speaks
mhm, mhm,
with
mhm.
confidence. They call it arrogance, but anybody
Yeah,
else can
yeah,
do it,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Why aren't we standing behind that more, speaking up about that more, and taking a stance about that more?
Because it goes back to what you said, OG, was
Indoctrination.
well, not only indoctrination, is that the very few that we have supposedly left that are actually willing to stand, okay? Unfortunately, it's the lesser than the greater who'd say,
Exactly.
nah, screw that, let me go get my bag.
Exactly. Exactly. You know what would happen if majority of those black players walked off and just wouldn't play?
But nothing is
Impact we
stopping
could
them.
have.
I'm sorry, but nothing is stopping them.
I know that's what I'm saying. It's because again, there is no unity. There is no code or sense that a code ethic where they say we need to make a stand where we can make a change because this should not have happened to this young man in the
Well,
NFL,
well,
right?
and guess right,
But
and it goes
but
back
we
to
but we know why because now the threat of if I do that, look what happened when they stood up with Colin Kaepernick. The ones that did
yes,
take a kneel
yes,
with him, they made
yes,
them pay.
yes, yes. But guess what now? But guess what? Now remember earlier, we were talking about the situation with Cassie and Diddy.
Hmm.
It's a same similar thing in thinking. Okay, like if I don't play, I have a house mortgage. I have this to think about. I have that to think about. I have that to think about. Right. And because you have whatever amount of responsibilities to think about, it makes you think twice. Like maybe I should put up with the shit and just
Did it, but
turn a
if
blind
all of them
eye.
walked off, there wouldn't be a game. And do you know how much money, billions of dollars, the NFL would lose if all of them walked off and didn't play for a month?
Oh, I mean,
They would want to go to the table now, and they would want to negotiate.
yeah, Yeah.
We're not pushing the envelope to the point where we need to force them to renegotiate some things and make some changes. They haven't been pushed. That envelope has not been pushed
No.
to that point.
No.
We
Because
only getting one-offs, a handful here, it's not enough. And that's the problem. Again,
right.
that's where the unity comes in. And we don't have that. There's
And
no
it's
code of
funny.
conduct. There's no
Yeah.
code of
Yeah.
conduct
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
all of those black bus drivers walked off the job, went on strike, and picketed.
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw change.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if all those black NFL players did that, there would be change. But because
But
they're some ones that's saying, I'm not going to do that, because they acquiesce continuously still into the whitewash culture. It's a brainwashing, it's an indoctrination that they're having. They're not willing to sacrifice something to see the change. And
right.
sometimes
Right.
in the sacrifice, you have to lose something to gain
Yeah.
it. They're
Yes.
just
Yes.
not willing
Yes.
to lose it to gain it.
Yes. Because and that's why I was saying it's a lot of it is more so about if I stop doing this, I can't pay my house. I can't pay this. I got this responsibility. My wife will be on my ass about why I'm not paying the
Get that,
kids
but
and the baby mama. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think a month of being off is gonna bankrupt them. I'm just talking about a month, right?
No, no,
This
no,
is
no,
what
no,
it,
no, no, no,
I'm
no,
gonna
no,
tell you
no.
what it is. It's a bottom
Yeah, but
line.
no,
It's a
no. I
bottom
mean,
line. They're worried about the whole bag being taken from them. They're worried about being blackballed and blacklisted in the industry. So
right.
now
And this
when I'm
is
up as a free agent, ain't nobody gonna want to take me because now I'm the difficult person. But if you go as a unit,
yeah,
it's not like a one-off. It's saying that, hey, we are sick and tired of you treating our people like this, and we
yes,
need
yes,
a change. It's
yes,
raising the eyebrows of these people that's saying, okay, we need y'all. We know we can't do it without you all. So let's go to the table and talk about it and work it out.
this is let me ask you something. I just thought about this. What if what if it took someone to say, all right, tell you what, I know you're thinking about your security and your this and certain things and it's all valid. But what if for 1 month we all take our monies and cover each other so that nobody's got to worry about nothing. Nobody's got to worry about nothing, so that the chance and the for lack of a better term, the the purpose that we're trying to serve. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, the purpose that we're trying to serve. You know, um, it's going to be a win because we're standing up for something that's showing them enough is enough. And without us, they already know that, you know, if we're gone, w- they're not gonna try to get, you know, 10 guys who are like these white guys, that's going to try to convince the NFL that, hey, that's going to be a good ass game. No way. No way. No way. So,
Yeah.
so you understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah. No,
that
yeah, you're right.
because they
I
already
mean,
know that they already know that for every let's put it this way, for every white player that's good, there is 30 black players that are equally good or better,
absolutely.
right?
And
And
until we
and
see
and
worth in it, but until we see the self worth in
right,
ourselves and each other. See, because
Right.
I still have to put some, majority of the onus and blame on us too, meaning
Absolutely.
black
Absolutely.
people,
Absolutely.
them, because there's also a great amount of selfishness that comes with that.
And
We are
that's what I
not,
was
we
explaining.
don't
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah.
think about the whole or the bottom line to make it better for everybody. We just thinking,
Yeah.
hey, I just need mine right now, and that's all I care about. See, we've become a very selfish culture of people as well, because of things like capitalism and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
self-loathing and very narcissistic and all of that. We've
Yeah.
become
Yeah.
that as
Yeah.
a culture.
Yeah.
So as long as it's not happening to us, we don't care. When it happened to us, then we want everybody else to jump on the bandwagon. That's how we are, and that's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
we play a part in that too.
Well, and this is why, it goes back to what you were saying about by the time the whole enough is enough really goes into effect, we'll probably will be gone. But at least it'll happen.
Oh yeah, I would. I mean, if it
You know what I mean?
If it can happen for my grandchildren, at least my fight would not have been in vain, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the things that I have fought for equality and things of that
Mhm,
nature for our people and
mhm,
our culture, if
mhm.
it can happen in my grandchildren's
Yeah.
when they become grown and grow up, if it can happen for them, then my fight would not have been in vain. But
Yeah. Yeah.
this is why we need to instill those things in our children and our children's children,
Mhm,
and so
mhm,
on.
mhm, mhm.
Because believe me, that is how they have been able, meaning the other people, the other races of people have been able to continue on and stand on and on. It's because they make sure that their legacy gets continued. We
Yes.
don't.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
We
Yes.
don't. We'll get the success and we don't even want to reach back and help a family member half of the time. So our
Mm,
legacy always gets stumbled on. Theirs don't, because they will. And I will tell you who are one of the fastest growing culture of people that do that, and they are succeeding beyond measure, is the Hispanic family, the
yeah.
Hispanic culture.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
because they do that. They want Uncle Charlie, cousin Enrique. They want Arturo. They want Jorge and everybody. They want Maria and everybody to have a corner store.
Yeah.
And before you know it, they all got chains and they
Yeah.
own damn near half the block or the whole block. But
Hmm.
let me get my store. I don't care if don't nobody else get theirs. That's us. We have to get out of that mentality. And if we can get out of that mentality with that, then we can get out of that mentality with other things.
So let me ask you an interesting question because you brought up something that just triggered my thought for a second. Because in my travels, what I've noticed is what you're saying in other countries, in the USA, completely different.
Yep.
Completely,
Yeah.
completely different.
Yeah. It's the truth. It is the truth. I mean, I've seen Hispanic family. I seen 10 of them live in one house
Yeah.
until the other one, and they slowly get the other one on their feet.
Yeah.
They'll have one corner store.
Hmm.
Then they'll get money up enough put down. They'll buy another property and start
Hmm.
another store.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
person in that house will run that other store, and so on until they own at least half a mile or a mile of stores on the
Absolutely.
corner. I've
Absolutely.
seen that. I've witnessed
Absolutely.
that in
Absolutely. Yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And
No
then
doubt.
and then they take that one house that 10 of them stayed in, they'll redo the house. And when the youngest person get married, they give that house to them. Then they
Hmm.
start and they get married and have children and raise their kids, and then they pass it down to their kids. and then they buy the house next door and two
Mm-hmm,
doors
mm-hmm,
down and on the
mm-hmm.
corner. That's how I see them do. We don't do that.
Well, and
We
that's
don't do
why,
that.
right, and that's why I was um asking the question, because I know, like in certain countries, um, black people don't operate the same as, you know,
Hmm.
in
Other
the
people.
USA, and I just like I just find it so interesting in the sense that, why is it that the picture that's being painted about black people, but yet the overall picture that really is out there, it's not all black people. It's just in a certain country, this is the way it
Mhm.
is. You go to other countries, it's the complete opposite. I'm telling you straight up, it's
Oh,
complete opposite.
no, absolutely. I when I traveled and toured overseas, I saw the same thing. So I know, and it's just not a new thing. This has been going on for decades because
Yeah,
I saw it in the 80s,
yeah,
90s, early
yeah,
2000s.
yeah,
So this is not something that has just started happening. This is
yeah.
something that's been happening forever and ever. Where I am now is predominantly businesses owned by Hispanics,
Mm-hmm,
predominantly,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
meaning they setting up their stores, their restaurants, their
mm-hmm,
tire,
mm-hmm.
their cleaners, all of that is being owned by them.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah,
keeping
yeah,
it in the
yeah.
family. Guess who's working inside those restaurants and stores? They family members,
That's
the
right.
grandchildren. They
That's
starting the
right.
grandchildren early. If they not doing nothing but sweeping the floors or picking up trash, whatever. That is how they are culturally.
Mm-hmm,
We not that way.
mm-hmm.
Why? You know what I mean? So yeah, we got a lot of work to do.
And that's why I go back to the sentiment. My prayer is, and that day of enough is enough will come. That's my prayer. That day of
Yeah,
enough is enough will come.
yep, absolutely. Well, I got to get out of here, my brother. It has been such an honor and pleasure to talk with you again, and
Anytime, anytime.
I
Hmm.
you take care now.
All right. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings.
Same to you.
All right. All right. One love. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are watching the replay, that is OG Patrice. And she is definitely earned the name OG Patrice. So please go follow her YouTube channel. I will put the link in the description for her YouTube channel so that you can go and follow her, give her support, and things like that. So, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and land my plane by basically saying, please subscribe to my channel. Please hit that notification bell so that you will be notified each and every time a new video is uploaded, in as well as give this a like, give this a like. Please share this video with your family and your friends, and just leave a comment. Just leave a comment and let me know what you think of this video. Oh, and by the way, if you would like to support me, you can buy me a coffee. You can buy me one, you can buy me two, you can buy me as many coffees as you like. Okay, all the links to support me in my channel, okay, and whatever efforts you'd like to support will be in the description for you to go ahead and do that. All right, and as always, one love.